Li Mei's Sword of Destiny. Chapter 1544. After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyong looked at the willow tree and asked suspiciously, "Since everyone is still alive, why don't you think of a way to leave the miracle?" "There is no way to leave." The young man in white shook his head. "Why can't we leave?" Qin Feiyong was puzzled. The young man in white looked at the vast land and sighed. "The reason lies in this place. Can you tell us quickly? Don't keep us in suspense." The white-eyed wolf urged. "This is a small world created by the creator of the miracle. The purpose is to give people like us who can't leave the miracle in time a place to live. But at the same time, this place also contains a terrifying power." The young man in white said in a deep voice. "What power?" The white-eyed wolf asked. "We call it the power of the devil. This power of the devil will gradually integrate into our body and even our soul. When the power of the devil completely permeates our body and mind, we will be trapped here forever." The young man in white said worriedly. "The power of the devil," Qin Feiyong murmured, his eyes full of horror. The white-eyed wolf looked at the stone gate below and frowned. "You mean anyone who enters this place will never be able to leave through this stone gate again?" "Yes. In addition to the restriction of the power of the devil, there used to be a fire dragon guarding the stone gate. Once someone was found to leave, he would immediately kill them. Although the fire dragon has been killed by you, I believe that a new guardian will appear soon," the young man in white said. Qin Feiyong asked, "What will happen if you force your way out of the miracle?" "If you force your way out of the miracle, there is no need for the guardian of the miracle to do anything. The power of the devil that has integrated into your body will tear you to pieces. Some people have tried before, but without exception, they all ended up with their souls destroyed," the young man in white said. Qin Feiyong took a deep breath. He didn't expect the consequences to be so terrifying. But suddenly, he frowned and looked at the young man in white unkindly. "That's not right. Since you are trapped here and can't get out, how did you get out? Could it be that the Abyss Devil's power hasn't fused with you yet?" "It's my fault for not making things clear. After fusing with the power of demons, although I can't leave the divine ruin, I can leave this place. But time is limited. And the premise is that you can successfully sneak out from under the fire dragon's nose," the white-clothed young man said. "Limited time?" Qin Feiyong frowned. "Yes. Those who are bound by the power of demons can only stay outside for 3 months at most. Once the 3 months are up, if you don't return here, you'll still be killed by the power of the demons," the white-clothed young man said. "Little Qinzi, what should we do now? That demonic power must have already entered our bodies. If we had known, we wouldn't have come in," the white-eyed wolf howled. "Calm down." Qin Feiyong glared at it and said, "Didn't you hear what the willow tree said? The demon's power slowly fuses into our bodies, not all at once." "Yes. The process of fusing with the power of demons will take half a year. In other words, you have to leave this godforsaken place within half a year. Otherwise, you'll be trapped here forever like me, unable to return to the great Qin Empire," the white-clothed young man said. Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyong and said, "Then let's leave now. Leaving now is the best and wisest choice. Because the fire dragon is dead, there's no one guarding outside now. And once a new guardian is sent, even if the demonic power hasn't fused with you, the guardian won't let you leave," the white-clothed young man said. Qin Feiyong said indifferently, "Even if you leave now, I won't remove your slave seal. I'm doing this for your own good. Why do you have to do this?" The white-clothed young man said angrily, "You don't have to care what I do. I know what I'm doing. You just need to tell me what you know truthfully," Qin Feiyong said. Okay. I've said too much." The white-clothed young man nodded and said unwillingly, "I'm not scaring you. Although this is a small world, in our eyes it's a cage. You'd better think carefully." "A cage, huh?" Qin Feiyong muttered as he scanned the surrounding space. His eyes flickered. "You really won't cry until you're in the coffin," the white-clothed young man sneered. Qin Feiyong glanced at the willow tree and said coldly, "I don't want to hear such words again." The white-clothed young man felt wronged. However, he only muttered in his heart, "What does it matter?" Qin Feiyong looked away and said indifferently, "Did you already know my identity?" "Yes." The white-clothed young man nodded. Is it because of the purple gold dragon blood? Qin Feiyang said. Yes. Although your ancestor is a rising star and has never been here before, everyone here knows the name of the Qin Emperor. When I saw that you have the purple gold dragon blood, I guessed that you must be the descendant of the Qin Emperor. The white-clothed young man said. Qin Feiyang said, my ancestor has never been here before. This place is also isolated from the world. How do you know? The white-clothed young man said, the last time the miracle opened, people from the main pagoda and the Tianyang Empire came in. They said it. So it's like that. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. The last time the miracle opened was 10,000 years ago. At that time, his ancestor had already risen and was famous. In the face of such a talented person, it was normal for people from the main pagoda and the Tianyang Empire to come here. However, he was sure that Willow Tree was hiding something from him. He looked at the white-clothed young man and said, since you already knew my identity, why didn't you say it from the beginning? What is your purpose? And that so-called research, it should be just a cover. No. The research is real. I want to try and see if I can use the purple gold dragon blood to transform Yu Huang into a purple gold divine dragon. As for not exposing your identity, the white-clothed young man fell silent as his face was full of panic. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly and said, it's because of the people from the Tianyang Empire. How do you know? The white-clothed young man looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise, but then he smiled bitterly. How could he forget about the slave seal? That's right. It's because of the people from the Tianyang Empire. Back then, the people from the Tianyang Empire spread the word. In the future, every time the miracle opens, as long as you meet people from the Great Qin Empire, as long as you bring them to them, you will receive a generous reward, the white-clothed young man said. So you're going to bring me to receive the reward? That's true. Anyone from the Great Qin Empire can receive a generous reward. I, who has the purple gold dragon blood, must be worth more. Qin Feiyang sneered. It's not like that. I'm a false god and an elder of the Nether Pavilion. Why would I care about their reward? Please don't insult me again. The white-clothed young man said angrily. An elder of the Nether Pavilion? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He didn't expect this person to have such a powerful background. He said, then tell me, what do you want to do to me? I don't know either. However, since you have the purple gold dragon blood, you must be of great use to the Nether Pavilion. So, I'm going to bring you back and hand you over to the pavilion master. The white-clothed young man said. Thank you for your praise. However, I'm afraid you didn't expect that you would go for wool and come home shorn. Qin Feiyang sneered. I didn't expect it. The white-clothed young man smiled bitterly. The white-eyed wolf asked little Qinzi, do you think Mu Tianyang knows that there are people from the Tianyang Empire here? This? Qin Feiyang hesitated. Seemed like there was no way to be sure. The white-clothed young man suddenly said, is the Mu Tianyang you're talking about the last emperor of the Tianyang Empire? The last emperor? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were stunned. However, they understood after thinking about it. The Tianyang Empire was destroyed by Mu Tianyang. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was the last emperor. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, you know him too? So it's really him. I thought it was a coincidence that we have the same name. I've heard of this Mu Tianyang. He's a very cruel ruler, but I've never been here before. I'm sure. The white-clothed young man said. You haven't been here before. Does that mean you don't know? In that case, little Qinzi, can we have a good plan? The white-eyed wolf rolled his eyes and looked at Qin Feiyang with a sneaky smile. A plan? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. This guy must have thought of some wicked idea to torture Mu Tianyang again. He teased, who was the one who wanted to leave just now? The white-eyed wolf chuckled and said, well, I just found something fun. I got excited all of a sudden. Qin Feiyang said, in other words, you won't leave. Chapter 1545. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at it and said, then tell me, how do we do it? Mu Tianyang doesn't know, right? We'll use this point to let Mu Tianyang kill them all. Then we'll tell Mu Tianyang that these are all people of his Tianyang Empire, and he'll definitely go crazy. Tell me, isn't this fun? The white-eyed wolf laughed sinisterly. Ruthless enough. The white-clothed youth at the side listened with trepidation and a chill ran down his spine. Using Mu Tianyang to deal with the people of the Tianyang Empire, what could be more ruthless than this? After Qin Feiyong heard this, he pondered for a moment and nodded with a smile. This is indeed a bit fun. Finished. With a wave of his hand, Yu Huang appeared. As soon as Yu Huang appeared, he looked at the willow tree arrogantly and shouted, "Human pet, kneel on the ground for this emperor." The white-clothed youth immediately frowned. "What? You don't even listen to your master's words, are you looking for death?" Yu Huang said angrily. The white-clothed youth looked at Qin Feiyong, his eyes full of pleading. The one who enslaved him was Qin Feiyong, so it still depended on Qin Feiyong's intentions. Don't forget your current identity. Of course, you also have a chance to get rid of the fate of being a human pet, but it depends on your performance. Qin Feiyong said lightly. The white-clothed youth immediately lowered his head powerlessly. Damn it, it seems like you can't hear this emperor's words. Seeing that he didn't lie down, Yu Huang couldn't help but become angry. He raised his tail and whipped the white-clothed youth's back. With a snap, the clothes were torn and the flesh was torn. That terrifying force directly slammed him to the ground. Yu Huang smiled proudly and coiled around the head of the young man in white. He said, "If you're a pet, you should be aware that you're being pampered. If you don't listen to me, it won't be as simple as whipping you." The white-robed young man's face turned green and red. His expression was extremely ugly, but he could only grit his teeth and swallow this humiliation. Yu Huang looked up at Qin Feiyong and asked, "Why did you call me out?" Qin Feiyong said, "Mu Qing and Mu Tianyang shouldn't have left the Devil's Land yet. You and Willow Tree should make some noise, the bigger the better, and lure them over." "No problem." Yu Huang nodded and shouted, "Human pet, didn't you hear? Do you want this emperor to teach you what to do?" "No need, no need," the young man in white said. Then he flew up into the sky with Yu Huang. Yu Huang leaped up and floated in front of the white-robed young man. He said, "You can defend, but you're not allowed to fight back." The white-robed young man was stunned and immediately burned with anger. He roared, "Then wouldn't I be a punching bag for you to hit? Don't go too far." "So what if this emperor bullies you?" Yu Huang sneered. "If you have the ability, don't threaten me with the slave seal. Let's have a fair and square fight." The white-robed young man suppressed his anger and shouted, "Fair and square? When you schemed against this emperor, why didn't I see you being fair and square? A despicable person like you is not worthy of fighting this emperor fair and square. Do you understand?" Yu Huang said disdainfully. "You." The white-robed young man was filled with grief and indignation. His eyes were bloodshot. "Cut the crap. Just stand there and take the beating. When this emperor is satisfied, I might let you go." Beiming Yu Huang coldly laughed as her body expanded in size. In an instant, a giant python that was thousands of feet long appeared out of thin air, like a majestic mountain ridge, occupying half of the sky above. The terrifying beast could topple the mountains and overturn the seas. Seeing Yu Huang reveal his true body, the white-robed young man's body and mind tightened. He hurriedly activated the power of the false god and set up a defensive barrier. He did not dare to be careless, because he knew that with Yu Huang's hatred for him, he would not show any mercy. "Human pet, this emperor is coming." Yu Huang laughed uproariously. She raised her scaly tail and smashed it towards the defensive barrier. Boom! Immediately, a deafening sound rang out in the sky and spread in all directions. Following closely, a destructive wave of air with this place as the center rolled out in all directions. The void distorted and mountains collapsed. Countless beasts fled for their lives. Qin Feiyong also took the white-eyed wolf and hid in the castle. Crack! At the same time, the white-robed young man's defensive barrier was instantly shattered. Yu Huang's giant tail smashed into his chest. He really did not hold back at all. Puff! The white-robed young man immediately spat out a mouthful of blood and smashed into the ground below like a meteorite. With a loud bang, a loud sound rang out. This commotion is truly enormous. The white-eyed wolf was speechless. Qin Feiyong said, "Yu Huang is venting." The white-eyed wolf said, "Aren't you afraid that it will really destroy the willow tree?" "It won't. I think it still has some sense of propriety." Qin Feiyang smiled. To be honest, he really did not want to kill the willow tree now. The reason was because of the willow tree's identity. The willow tree was an elder of the Nether Hall. He definitely knew the layout and overall strength of the Heavenly Sun Empire. With him by his side, it would save a lot of trouble. Wait! Suddenly, Qin Feiyang was stunned. Since it was possible to fly here, did that mean it was possible to control the castle? He hurriedly tried it. It really was possible. This was much more convenient. Outside, Yu Huang viciously smashed the willow tree a few more times, shattering all the bones in its body. Seeing how fierce it was, Qin Feiyang was really afraid that it would accidentally kill the willow tree. He hurriedly went out to stop it. That's enough. Only then did Yu Huang stop. She floated in the air and stared down at Lu Mu, who was on the verge of death. Her eyes were filled with delight. Qin Feiyang flew over and looked at the willow tree's injuries. He was speechless. How can he be your human pet after being tortured like this? Yu Huang was stunned and nodded. Yes, I was careless. I will be gentler next time. There's a next time? When the willow tree heard this, it was so angry that it spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted on the spot. Qin Feiyang's expression changed. He hurriedly squatted down to check on the situation. Seeing that it was only unconscious, he heaved a sigh of relief. Next, he took out a healing pill, a bone replenishing pill, and a regeneration pill and stuffed them into the willow tree's mouth. Yu Huang went over and asked, "He's not dead, right?" Qin Feiyang said helplessly, "If you continue like this, even if he isn't beaten to death by you, he will be angered to death by you. He deserves it. He asked for it." Yu Huang snorted coldly. Yes. I didn't say that he shouldn't be beaten. But next time be gentler. This person is still useful for now, Qin Feiyang said. Yu Huang pursed his lips and said, "All right, for your sake, I'll leave him a way out." Qin Feiyang smiled, waved his hand, and sent the willow tree to the castle. Then he whispered a few words to Yu Huang. When Yu Huang heard this, it immediately said disdainfully, "Isn't it just 3 strands of divine sense? What are you afraid of? Just leave it to this emperor." "Thank you," Qin Feiyang said gratefully. Now that there was no way to revive the holy artifact, he was still a little afraid of Mu Tianyang's divine sense. Of course, Mu Tianyang shouldn't dare to make a move either. After all, the giant python had told him not to use his divine sense again. However, everything had an accident. What if Mu Tianyang was driven to desperation? Therefore, he had to warn Yu Huang and let it be prepared. While Yu Huang was beating up the willow tree, in the south of the Devil's Land, there was a huge lake thousands of miles away. The lake water was clear and rippling. By the lake, the grass and trees were green and medicinal herbs were everywhere. These medicinal herbs all had tiger-shaped spirit inscriptions. I didn't expect that there would be such a paradise in this miracle. A young man muttered as he buried his head and picked those medicinal herbs. His eyes were full of joy. This person was Mu Qing. Suddenly, a rumbling sound rolled over. He quickly stood up and looked in the direction of the rumbling sound, his eyes full of surprise. That seemed to be the direction of the stone gate. Swish! A vague outline appeared beside Mu Qing and said in surprise, "It's divine power, could it be Qin Feiyang?" This outline was formed by Mu Tianyang's divine sense. Qin Feiyang? Mu Qing was taken aback. Mu Tianyang looked at Mu Qing and said, "You didn't spy on Qin Feiyang's position?" This Mu Qing looked flustered. Mu Tianyang flew into a rage and shouted, "Before entering the spatial divine object, didn't I repeatedly warn you to pay attention to his movements at all times? Did you take my words as wind passing by your ears?" "Master, please calm down. Although the heavenly eye is a battle soul, it needs my eyes to open. After using it for a long time, my eyes will be tired." When we were outside, when we were tracking Qin Feiyang, our eyes had already begun to feel uncomfortable. So after you went to the spatial divine item and confirmed Qin Feiyang's position, you closed the heavenly eye and let your eyes rest. At the same time, you picked some medicinal herbs. Mu Qing said in fear. "So that's how it is." Mu Tianyang came to a realization and said, "I was wrong about you, sorry." If these words were to be heard by his former subjects, their jaws would definitely fall off. That monarch who had always been domineering and arbitrary would actually apologize to someone? However, from this point it showed how much he valued Mu Qing. Thank you for your understanding, master. I'll check his position right away. Mu Qing wiped his cold sweat and immediately opened the heavenly eye to check Qin Feiyang's position. A moment later, he looked at Mu Tianyang and said, Qin Feiyang is indeed over there. Are you sure? Mu Tianyang said, I'm sure. I don't know why, but when I entered here, the heavenly eye could accurately find his position. Mu Qing nodded. You can accurately find his position? Could it be that this place is already out of the scope of the miracle? Mu Tianyang was suspicious. Mu Qing asked, Then now should we go and find him or? Mu Tianyang said, It's not appropriate to confront him head-on now, but we can go and take a look, but it's best not to let him discover our whereabouts. I'm afraid that's very difficult to do. Let's not talk about Qin Feiyang first. Let's talk about the white-eyed wolf. Its sense of smell is as sensitive as a dog's nose. Mu Qing frowned, his face full of annoyance. No. It's very simple. Even if we stand in front of him now, he won't be able to discover us. Because here the spatial divine item can also be controlled, Mu Tianyang said with a smile. Mu Qing was overjoyed. Chapter 1546. Let's talk about Qin Feiyang. He had left the square and found a hidden cave nearby. He sat cross-legged inside and closed his eyes to recuperate. That's right. He was recuperating. But at this moment, he was covered with wounds, his clothes were ragged, and his breath was extremely weak. But his injuries were not caused by the sneak attack of ferocious beasts, but by himself. He did this to lure Mu Tianyang out. Because what Mu Tianyang thought of, he also thought of. The space divine object could be controlled here. If he didn't pretend to be weak, even if Mu Tianyang came, he would definitely hide in the space divine object. After all, Mu Tianyang only had 3 strands of divine consciousness left. He didn't dare to show up without absolute confidence. As for whether Mu Tianyang could find his current hiding place, he wasn't worried at all. Because as long as Mu Qing was there, no matter how well he hid, he could be found. Time flew. The injuries on Qin Feiyang's body were almost completely healed. But Mu Tianyang didn't show up. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but frown. Could it be that Yu Huang and Willow Tree didn't make enough noise and didn't alert Mu Tianyang? Should he let Yu Huang and Willow Tree make trouble again? But although the injuries on his body were about to heal, Qin Feiyang's complexion was still pale and powerless. It gave people the feeling that he had suffered a serious internal injury, but in fact he didn't know. Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing had already found him and were watching him in the cave at this moment. They were also worried that Qin Feiyang was setting a trap for them, so they didn't show up. Mu Qing withdrew her gaze and looked at Mu Tianyang asking, Lord, could it be that we are thinking too much? Thinking too much? Then tell me he has the castle. Why is he recuperating here? Isn't the castle safer than here? Mu Tianyang said. In terms of safety, there was no place that could compare to the castle. Instead of using the castle, it was hidden in a cave. No matter how he looked at it, it didn't seem ordinary. I don't think it matters. In any case, we can control spatial divine objects now. If he really has ulterior motives, we can just leave. Mu Qing said. Mu Tianyang pondered for a moment and said, Then go out and test it out. Huh. Mu Qing was stunned. Right now, I only have 3 strands of divine sense left. I really don't dare to take the risk. But don't worry, I won't abandon you. If the situation isn't right, I'll immediately capture you and bring you to the spatial divine item. Mu Tianyang said. All right. Mu Qing nodded. After what happened last time, he trusted Mu Tianyang unconditionally. Last time, in the face of Qin Feiyang's coercion, Mu Tianyang didn't hand him over to Qin Feiyang, which showed that Mu Tianyang was really sincere to him. Whoosh! Mu Tianyang waved his hand and Mu Qing immediately appeared in the cave. As soon as Mu Qing appeared, he directly attacked Qin Feiyang without saying a word. You're finally here. Seeing Mu Qing appear, Qin Feiyang also smiled. Fortunately, he kept his composure. Otherwise, he really couldn't see this guy. But as soon as they saw the smile on Qin Feiyang's face, Mu Qing and Mu Tianyang were shocked. This was really a trap. Mu Tianyang waved his hand and the spatial divine item emitted an invisible force, which instantly captured Mu Qing. Then, Mu Tianyang was ready to use the spatial divine item to escape. Don't be nervous. This time I led you here not to deal with you, but to talk to you about something. Qin Feiyang got up and said, Talk about something? In the spatial divine item. Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing looked at each other. What the hell is this bastard playing this time? Qin Feiyang said very sincerely, I really have something to talk to you about, and it's a very important thing. If it works out, it will be good for you and me. Mu Qing raised her eyebrows and looked at Mu Tianyang saying, Look at him. He doesn't seem to be joking. A very important thing, Mu Tianyang murmured, Go out and talk to him. I will help you at any time. Okay. Mu Qing nodded. Mu Tianyang waved his hand and Mu Qing suddenly appeared in front of Qin Feiyang. Where's Mu Tianyang? Qin Feiyang asked. Mu Qing said, His Majesty is resting. If you have anything to say, you can talk to me. Resting? Qin Feiyang was stunned and said with a smile, I think he's not resting. He doesn't dare to come out. After that, he shook his head and said, To be honest, I really sympathize with him now. A dignified god of war has actually fallen to this point. Shut up. Mu Qing said angrily. I'm just telling the truth. Don't be angry. Mu Tianyang asked you to come here. Does that mean that you can represent him fully? Qin Feiyang said. If you have something to say it quickly. Mu Qing said impatiently. Qin Feiyang asked, Do you know where we are now? Where? Mu Qing was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, This is a human world. A group of aborigines live here. What? Aborigines? Mu Qing's eyes trembled. As far as I know, these aborigines have a lot of wealth. And this wealth is something you can't even imagine in your lifetime. For example, medicinal herbs, divine weapons, and divine arts. The purpose of my visit is actually to loot this wealth, Qin Feiyang said, his eyes shining. Mu Qing fell silent. Qin Feiyang said, You've been here for a few hours. I believe you've already seen the extraordinariness of this place. Indeed. There are precious medicinal herbs everywhere here. I've picked a lot. Mu Qing nodded. Wait. Suddenly, Mu Qing's eyes shot out a sharp light. She stared at Qin Feiyang and said, How do you know we've been here for a few hours? Have you been spying on us? If I was spying on you, I wouldn't have to think of such a way to lure you here. I know all this because of the white-eyed wolf's sense of smell. It judged by its sense of smell. Qin Feiyang said with a faint smile. This beast's nose is really sharper than a dog's. Mu Qing cursed secretly. Qin Feiyang urged, I don't want to waste time. Hurry up and make a decision. Mu Qing was silent. Suddenly, Mu Tianyang appeared, looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Are there really divine weapons and divine arts? If you came out earlier, you wouldn't have to waste so much time. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and nodded. Yes, it is said that there is also a divine weapon comparable to Chang Shui. Mu Tianyang's body trembled. A divine weapon comparable to Chang Shui. If he could get it, wouldn't he be able to compete with Qin Feiyang's Chang Shui in the future? Thinking about it, he couldn't help but feel excited. But after all, he was a very careful person. It was impossible for him to be fooled by Qin Feiyang so easily. He said in a deep voice, Is the source of the news reliable? Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the willow tree appeared. Although he was miserably abused by Yu Huang, the injuries on his body had basically scabbed, but he was still very weak. He is. Mu Tianyang looked at the willow tree suspiciously and asked Qin Feiyang. His pupils contracted. It was actually a false god. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, He is a native here. Now he is under our control. What I said was told to me by him. He actually controlled a false god. Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing were shocked. But after thinking about it carefully, they understood. Qin Feiyang subdued the Golden Wolf King and mastered the ability to have infinite qi and blood. He could forcibly revive Chang Shui and the castle. After the revival of Chang Shui and the castle, it couldn't be easier for them to suppress a false god. Mu Tianyang looked at the willow tree and asked, Is what he said true? It's true. The willow tree nodded. Mu Tianyang looked at Qin Feiyang and asked in confusion, I'm a little puzzled. Why did you ask me to cooperate with you when you encountered such a good thing? Qin Feiyong said. I just said that the natives here are too strong. I can't handle them alone. Mu Tianyang said. Now you can even revive Chang Shui. What are you afraid of? I could revive it before, but now I can't. Because the Qi and Blood Pearl has been shattered. The Qi and Blood Pearl was given to me by the Golden Wolf King. Can give people infinite Qi and blood. Qin Feiyong said helplessly. So that's how it is. Mu Tianyang suddenly understood. After thinking for a while he said, wait, how did the Qi and Blood Pearl shatter? Qin Feiyong said. It shattered when I fought with the Guardians of the Miracle. What? You fought with that giant python again? Mu Tianyang was surprised. Yes. It's a long story. When you agree, I will tell you slowly on the way. Qin Feiyong said. Mu Tianyang glanced at the willow tree. After pondering for a moment, he looked at Qin Feiyong, nodded and said, okay, let's cooperate, but there is a condition. Say it. Qin Feiyong said. I don't want the other treasures. I only want the divine artifact that is comparable to Chang Shui. If you don't agree, then don't talk about it. Chapter 1547. You're going too far. For such a divine object, everyone must rely on their own means. Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. If he agreed easily, Mu Tianyang and everyone else would be suspicious. Therefore he had to bargain with him. Mu Qing said. Judging from his expression, it should be true. Then we have to fight for the initiative. Mu Tianyang thought to himself. After that, he looked at Qin Feiyong and said, this is my only condition. If you don't agree, then go and find someone else. However, I believe that among the people who entered the first floor, other than me, there shouldn't be anyone who can help you. Mu Qing also said with dissatisfaction, Qin Feiyong, you already have the Chang Shui. Why are you still fighting with us? Nonsense. Who would complain about having too many of such treasures? Why don't we make an exchange? That divine object belongs to me, and the other treasures belong to you? Qin Feiyong said. No. Mu Qing shook her head decisively. Qin Feiyong said angrily, I can't do this and I can't do that. What on earth do you want? Mu Qing said. We only want that divine object. Qin Feiyong was furious. You don't want to? Goodbye. After Mu Tianyang finished speaking, he took Mu Qing into the space divine object. Wait. Qin Feiyong said hurriedly. The two of them appeared out of thin air again. Okay. Promise you. But remember, you can only take that divine object. You can't touch the other things. If you break your promise, I won't be polite. Qin Feiyong snorted coldly. Okay. Mu Tianyang nodded, pointed to Mu Qing next to him and said, he will go with you later. Be polite to him. Him. Qin Feiyong frowned and said reluctantly, okay. For your sake, I won't embarrass him. Mu Qing clenched her fists tightly. His tone and attitude showed that he didn't take him seriously at all. Calm down. You are no match for him now. You will only be at a disadvantage if you compete with him. Mu Tianyang transmitted his voice. Yes. Mu Qing responded secretly. She suppressed the anger in her heart and loosened her hands. Mu Tianyang looked at Qin Feiyong and said in a deep voice, I hope that you won't cause any trouble in this cooperation. Qin Feiyong said. That's exactly what I wanted to say. Mu Tianyang looked at him deeply and then disappeared without a trace. Qin Feiyong glanced at Mu Qing and then looked at Willow Tree. Lead the way. As he spoke, he winked at Willow Tree. All right. Willow Tree nodded, understanding Qin Feiyong's intentions. They would head directly to the Heavenly Sun Empire's territory. In the mountains. Willow Tree was in the front, Qin Feiyong and Mu Qing were behind, moving as fast as lightning. Suddenly, Willow Tree transmitted his voice to Qin Feiyong. I suddenly thought of something that I should tell you in advance. What is it? Qin Feiyong said secretly. Every force here has their own totems. For example, the Nether Hall has a demonic dragon totem. The main tower has a flame totem. Willow Tree said. Qin Feiyong asked, what is the Heavenly Sun Empire's totem? Willow Tree said secretly. A 5-clawed golden dragon. A 5-clawed golden dragon, Qin Feiyong pondered. According to ancient records, The Heavenly Sun Empire's totem seemed to be a 5-clawed golden dragon. In that case, wouldn't Mu Tianyang be able to recognize it? If he was recognized, wouldn't his plan fail? It seemed that he had to find an opportunity to send Mu Tianyang away and destroy that totem first. Willow Tree said again, "Your Great Qin Empire also has a totem here." Didn't you say that there are no people from the Great Qin Empire here? Why is there a totem here? Qin Feiyong was puzzled. It was made by the people of the Heavenly Sun Empire. They made a purple gold divine dragon totem and placed it on the road to enter the city for people to trample. They did this to humiliate the Qin Emperor and the Great Qin Empire. Willow Tree transmitted his voice. Preposterous. Qin Feiyong was furious. The purple gold divine dragon was the Great Qin Empire's totem. It was personally designed by their ancestors when they conquered the world. Trampling on the totem? That was trampling on the dignity of a nation. How could they do such a thing? These people were really despicable. It could also be seen how narrow-minded the people of the Heavenly Sun Empire were. Is there a war god level existence in the Heavenly Sun Empire here? Qin Feiyong asked secretly. No. Not to mention the Heavenly Sun Empire. Even the Vanga League and the Fengtian Palace don't have a war god level existence. Willow Tree said. Why? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. There were so many old monsters. Why wasn't there a war god level existence? Because of the demonic force. Although people who are entangled by the demonic force can break through to the false god level, they can never step into the war god level. Many peerless figures couldn't escape the calamity of the end of their lifespan. Willow Tree sighed. The so-called calamity of the end of one's lifespan was the passing of one's lifespan. The demonic force. Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows and secretly checked the situation in his body to see if he could find the demonic force. But in the end, he didn't find any abnormalities in his body. The demonic force can't be seen. But after the demonic force entangles you, a black skull mark will appear on your chest. We will become the demonic force. Willow Tree transmitted his voice. So it's like this. Qin Feiyong nodded in realization. This mark is also the key. When the miracle is not open, no one will care about it. But during the period when the miracle is open and closed, especially when the miracle is closed, every city here will set up a checkpoint. Anyone who enters and leaves will be checked to see if they have the demonic force. Willow Tree said. This isn't difficult to understand. Qin Feiyong secretly said. The reason why the checkpoint was set up at this time was because only during this period of time, there will be newcomers breaking in. The rest of the time the miracle was closed, so there was no need to check. After running for about half an hour, Willow Tree suddenly stopped and looked at a desolate forest hundreds of miles away with eyes full of fear. What's wrong? Qin Feiyong and Mu Qing looked at him suspiciously. Willow Tree said in a deep voice, in that desolate forest, there is a pseudo-god beast. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, we'd better take a detour. A pseudo-god beast. Mu Qing's eyes trembled, and she nodded and said, I agree. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed, and he shook his head and said, I don't agree. Why? The two frowned. Qin Feiyong said with a smile, I just happen to lack a mount. You're simply a madman. Mu Qing said angrily. Without the qi and blood pearl, he couldn't revive the divine artifact. How could he provoke a pseudo-god beast? Wasn't he courting death? If you don't dare, go to the front and wait for us. Qin Feiyong said lightly, turned to look at Willow Tree and asked, what kind of beast is it? It's a golden divine leopard. Not to mention its combat power, just its speed is faster than mine. Even if I use the auxiliary divine art, I can't outrun it. I advise you not to have any ideas about it. Willow Tree said in a deep voice. Mu Qing's face couldn't help but turn pale when she heard this. She looked at Qin Feiyong and said, then all the more we can't provoke it. I firmly oppose your idea. Is your objection useful? Qin Feiyong glanced at her disdainfully, then looked at Willow Tree and said, lead the way. This? Willow Tree hesitated. Qin Feiyong was stunned and said, I don't want to say it again. All right. Willow Tree nodded helplessly, stepped forward, and rushed toward the desolate forest. Qin Feiyong followed closely behind. Idiot, I'm not worthy of you to die. Mu Qing sneered and was about to go around. But at this time, Mu Tianyang's voice sounded in her mind. Follow them? What? Mu Qing's face froze. After being together for so long, don't you know Qin Feiyang? Since he dares to go, he must have a certain degree of confidence. Now, he already has a pseudo-god by his side. We can't let him succeed. Otherwise, his foundation will become more and more terrifying. Besides, I also want to know whether the Qi and Blood Pearl is broken or not. And this is undoubtedly the best opportunity. If he is defeated and the Qi and Blood Pearl is not broken, he will definitely show it. Mu Tianyang said. Understood. I'll catch up right away. Chapter 1548. Qin Feiyang was not surprised at all when he saw Mu Qing chasing after him. He said with a mocking smile, I didn't expect you to be so bold. Humph! Mu Qing snorted coldly. She turned her head to the side and looked away. Qin Feiyang laughed involuntarily. There was a trace of reminiscence in his eyes. He said, Do you still remember the scene when we met for the first time on the Forgotten Continent? Mu Qing frowned. She looked at Qin Feiyang and asked suspiciously, Why are you suddenly asking this? Qin Feiyang said, The talent you displayed at that time could be said to be shocking. Mu Qing said angrily, Are you mocking me in a disguised way? No, I'm telling the truth. At that time I thought we could become friends. I didn't expect the situation to be like this. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. He looked very regretful. Mu Qing sneered. I'm not worthy of being your friend. No. The all-seeing eye is rare. Those who have the all-seeing eye are all people with great fortune. I'm not worthy of being their friend. Qin Feiyang said. What are you trying to say? Mu Qing said impatiently. Actually, I really want to be your friend, because I believe that if the two of us join forces, we'll definitely be stronger than you and Mu Tianyang. But I also know that it's impossible. Qin Feiyang said. Mu Qing said coldly, You know it's impossible and you still say it? It's better to say it out loud. In short, if one day you're tired of staying by Mu Tianyang's side, you're welcome to come to me at any time. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Mu Qing ignored him. Qin Feiyang didn't say anything more. Anyway, he had achieved his goal. He didn't really want to poach Mu Qing away from Mu Tianyang. Instead, it planted a seed of conflict in both Mu Qing and Mu Tianyang's hearts. Mu Qing was a proud person, and so was Mu Tianyang. Two prideful people who had been together for a long time were bound to have friction. And these frictions would become the seeds of this seed, allowing it to gradually germinate. Once this seed matured, it would definitely become the fuse that would cause the two of them to fall out. A moment passed. Under Willow Tree's guidance, the two of them finally entered the desolate forest. As soon as they entered the desolate forest, they sensed a despairing aura. This aura came from the center of the forest. No ferocious beast dared to approach this place. Are we really going in? Willow Tree stopped again and looked at Qin Feiyang. Of course. Qin Feiyang nodded and took the lead. Without concealing his aura, he directly rushed in. Damn it! Willow Tree cursed and quickly chased after him. Mu Qing glanced around and didn't follow. Instead, she ran to a mountain more than 100 feet high and stood on the peak, looking at Qin Feiyang from afar. Roar! All of a sudden, a beast's roar sounded, shaking the sky and the earth. Leaves flew everywhere. Qin Feiyang stopped and looked ahead. Through the forest, he could vaguely see a vague beast shadow. Willow Tree's face was pale. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, My God, why can't you not go? No. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. His battle chi rolled out and turned into a huge wave, pouncing on the beast's shadow. Crack! Boom! Wherever it passed, large trees would shatter in response, and the ground would crack and collapse crazily. How dare you break into my territory? You're courting death. An enraged roar exploded. Following closely, a monstrous ferocious power covered the sky and pounced on Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing. Willow Tree's face changed. He hurriedly stood in front of Qin Feiyang and blasted at the ferocious power. With a loud bang, an apocalyptic storm rose from the ground and swept out in all directions. In less than an instant, the area within 1,000 miles was razed to the ground. Not a single blade of grass was left. Dust billowed and the scene was devastated. It was like a land of death. Mu Qing was not spared. The mountain under his feet collapsed with a loud bang. His whole body was submerged in the mud. When he came out again, his hair was disheveled and his face was covered in blood. He was in an extremely sorry state. They're fighting so soon? Bastard, is it necessary to be so impatient? Looking at Qin Feiyang's insufferably arrogant back, Mu Qing was so angry that she went crazy. Swish! Suddenly, a golden light rushed into the sky and revealed its true body. It was a golden leopard. Its body was 5 to 6 meters long and its limbs were thick and powerful. Its fur was as dazzling as gold leaf. The eyes of its 2 fists were also shining with golden light and were extremely dazzling. Its aura was extremely strong and shook the heavens and earth. It lowered its head and swept its gaze across Mu Qing, Willow Tree, and Qin Feiyang. Its golden eyes were filled with anger. These 3 small fries actually dared to come and provoke it? Qin Feiyang looked up at the golden leopard and asked, "Are you the king of this place?" His tone and gaze were both overbearing and domineering. The golden leopard was furious and shouted, "Do you have a problem with that?" "No. But I like you. Be my mount. I guarantee that you'll have a better future with me than here," Qin Feiyang said. The golden leopard looked at Qin Feiyang in shock as if it was looking at a funny clown. All of a sudden, it grinned and said, "Sure, I'll be your mount." This, Willow Tree and Mu Qing were both stunned. What was going on? Qin Feiyang just casually said it and it really agreed? But Qin Feiyang didn't dare to be careless. How could a divine beast agree so easily? There must be a problem. However, he didn't care too much and chuckled. "You're quite sensible. I like it, follow me." "Alright, stand there and don't move. I'll be right down." The golden leopard also laughed happily. Then it slowly flew towards Qin Feiyang. But just as it was about to reach Qin Feiyang, its speed suddenly increased. It opened its bloody mouth, revealing rows of sharp fangs, and bit towards Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang said, "Willow Tree, teach him a lesson." Willow Tree's face was about to turn green, but it could only bite the bullet. Bang bang bang. Boom. One man and one beast collided several times in the air. Willow Tree was no match for it and was sent flying. The golden leopard's speed was faster than his to begin with. Not to mention, not long ago, he had been beaten up by Yu Huang and had yet to recover his vitality. How could he be a match for the golden leopard? The golden leopard stood in the air, glanced at Willow Tree, and looked at Qin Feiyang. "Your little follower's strength isn't that great." Hearing this, Qin Feiyang immediately flew into a rage out of humiliation. He looked at Willow Tree and shouted, "I originally hoped that you would beat it down, but I didn't expect you to be so useless. You were beaten down by it in just a few moves." Willow Tree got up with a wronged look on its face. Qin Feiyang coughed dryly, raised his head to look at the golden divine beast, and said with a smile, "Sorry, I was just joking just now. Sorry to disturb you, goodbye." With that, he rushed to Willow Tree's side and shouted, "Let's go." "Go where?" Willow Tree was a little dumbfounded. "Nonsense, of course we're going to escape from this damned place." Qin Feiyang scolded in annoyance. "Escape?" Willow Tree was stunned and immediately grabbed Qin Feiyang, used an auxiliary divine art, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. He had wanted to escape for a long time, but Qin Feiyang didn't say anything, so he didn't dare. "You're escaping just like that? What about me?" Mu Qing was stunned. "You came here to cause trouble for no reason and want to escape? Is that possible?" The golden leopard laughed mockingly and chased after Qin Feiyang. Mu Qing also came back to her senses and quickly ran away. But suddenly, the golden leopard came back and stood in front of Mu Qing, saying, "I almost forgot about you, little fish." Mu Qing's face changed, and she hurriedly said, "Senior, I have nothing to do with them. Would you have come if you didn't have a problem? Do you think I'm an idiot?" The golden leopard smiled coldly, raised its paw and slapped at Mu Qing. "Qin Feiyang, you bastard, I won't let you go." Mu Qing roared again, and just as she was about to be killed, she suddenly disappeared without a trace. Obviously, it was Mu Tianyang who saved her. And as soon as Mu Qing arrived at the space divine object, Mu Tianyang immediately drove the space divine object and chased after Qin Feiyang. Gone. The golden leopard was stunned, and a trace of surprise appeared in its eyes. It murmured, It's actually a space divine object? Then I can't let you escape. Chapter 1549. After the golden leopard left, Qin Feiyang and Willow Tree walked out from behind a pile of rocks. It flew over our heads and didn't even notice us. Your invisibility technique is really powerful. Willow Tree looked in the direction the golden leopard left and exclaimed, "It's okay." Qin Feiyang smiled. Just now, after Willow Tree took him away, he immediately activated the invisibility technique. In other words, he and Willow Tree were still in the golden leopard's nest. Willow Tree retracted his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang. He frowned and said, "I really don't understand. Why did you do this?" "It's because of the totem. If we don't destroy the totem first, Mu Tianyang will definitely recognize it." "Actually, you should have told me earlier that you have a totem," Qin Feiyang said helplessly. "So that's the case." Willow Tree suddenly understood and said with a wry smile, "I didn't expect the totem to be so important." "Then let's hurry over," Qin Feiyang said. As he spoke, he took out a few healing pills with 6 elixir patterns and threw them to Willow Tree. 6 elixir patterns. Willow Tree was stunned. "Hurry up," Qin Feiyang urged. Okay. Willow Tree nodded repeatedly and took a healing pill. Then he took Qin Feiyang and used an auxiliary technique to disappear at lightning speed. On the way, Lu Mu wanted to say something but hesitated. "What do you want to ask?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Willow Tree said, "Did you refine this elixir?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Amazing!" Willow Tree exclaimed. Qin Feiyang said lightly, "What's so amazing about it?" "I can refine it with 7 elixir patterns." TSK. Willow Tree was speechless. Not only is his cultivation talent so monstrous, even his alchemy talent is so monstrous. How can other people survive? Qin Feiyang smiled. Suddenly, his expression froze. He lowered his head and pondered. "What are you thinking?" Willow Tree was suspicious. "Speaking of elixir veins, I think of elixir fire. Is there a grade 8 pill fire here?" Qin Feiyang asked. "There is," Willow Tree said without hesitation. "There is?" Qin Feiyang stared blankly for a moment, then said with great joy, "Where?" "My nether hall has an 8-star pill fire. The Heavenly Sun Empire and the main tower also have them. It's even said that there are people in the Venga League and the Fengtian Palace who control grade 9 alchemy fires." Willow Tree said. 9th rank. Qin Feiyang's breathing became rapid. It was rare to see a grade 7 alchemy fire outside, but there was a grade 9 alchemy fire here. This was truly a place full of opportunities. After calming down, Qin Feiyang said, "Tell me in detail about the Heavenly Sun Empire situation here." First, he would definitely start with the Heavenly Sun Empire. On one hand, it was because the Heavenly Sun Empire and the Great Qin Empire had a grudge. On the other hand, it was because the people of the Heavenly Sun Empire trampled on the totem of the Great Qin Empire, which made him very angry. The population of the Heavenly Sun Empire is very large. It can be considered the most populous force. Their imperial capital is located in the south of this place, and there are 8 false gods overseeing it. There are naturally countless war king rankers, and the place we are going to now is called Peach Blossom City. Peach Blossom City is built at the edge of the Devil's Land. As for the origin of Peach Blossom City, it's a long story, so I'll just briefly explain it. You also know that there are many treasures in the Devil's Land, so there is no lack of people entering the Devil's Land to search for treasures. Of course, they only dare to search for treasures in the periphery, and don't dare to go deep. But even so, everyone can still find many precious treasures. In the beginning, Peach Blossom City was just a temporary place for everyone to recuperate. But as more and more people came to search for treasures, the original place for recuperation gradually expanded. In the end, it became a city that occupied an area of more than 10 miles. Willow Tree said. "I see." Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, "Then who is in charge of Peach Blossom City?" "No one is in charge of Peach Blossom City. That's because this city was built by friends from all over the world. But in Peach Blossom City, there is a rule that everyone agrees on. No one is allowed to destroy the city." Willow Tree said. "No one is allowed to destroy?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "Yes." Willow Tree nodded and said, If anyone dares to destroy, they will be hunted down by everyone in the city. What about killing people? Qin Feiyang asked. Willow Tree smiled and said, that's fine. As long as they don't destroy the city, it's fine. Qin Feiyang nodded. And in Peach Blossom City, the Nether Hall, the Heavenly Sun Empire, and the main tower all have a stronghold. The main purpose is to buy rare treasures from those treasure hunters. This is the so-called snatching of resources. Willow Tree said. Qin Feiyang asked, what about the Vanga League and the Fengtian Palace? Willow Tree shook its head and said, these two transcendental forces disdain to compete with us because they both occupy a forbidden area with endless resources. How many forbidden areas are there? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Since they both occupied a forbidden area, the Devil's Land was definitely not the only forbidden area. 4. They are the Spectre Mountain, the Soul Sealing Valley, the Nether Sea, and the Devil's Land where we are. The Fengtian Palace and the Vanga League are entrenched in the Soul Sealing Valley and the Nether Sea. Willow Tree said. What about the Spectre Mountain? Qin Feiyang asked. The Spectre Mountain is the place where the dead are buried. Those who have reached the end of their lifespan will be buried there in the end. However, not just anyone can be buried there. First of all, you have to have the cultivation of a false god. Secondly, you have to be from the Fengtian Palace and the Vanga League. I don't have this qualification. I haven't even been there because the entrance is guarded by the Vanga League and the Fengtian Palace. It's because of this that it became a forbidden area. Willow Tree said. In that case, isn't the Spectre Mountain the private cemetery of the Fengtian Palace and the Vanga League? Qin Feiyang said. You can say that. Willow Tree nodded. These two forces are really domineering. Qin Feiyang pursed his lips. That's right. 3 of the 4 forbidden areas have been occupied by them. The remaining demonic land is not enough for the Nether Pavilion, the Tianyang Empire, and the main pagoda. Not to mention, there are 10 false god-level beasts guarding this demonic land. Even among the 3 forces, other than a false god like me, the other disciples don't dare to go in. In short, having a strong fist is the way of the king. Willow Tree shook his head and sighed. Qin Feiyang agreed with this sentence. Only the fist was strong had the right to be domineering. After thinking for a while, Qin Feiyang asked again, then, other than the various forces, is there anyone else here, such as a lone cultivator? Yes, because there are too many restrictions if you join the major forces. Moreover, you have to participate in the disputes of the major forces. If you're not careful, you might lose your life. So, many people would rather be a lone cultivator. In fact, for those with average talent, the major forces can't wait for them to leave because it's a waste of resources to cultivate them. Moreover, after countless years of reproduction, more than half of the people here are lone cultivators. Willow Tree said. Qin Feiyang nodded and said, then, what's the full name of this small world? The Black Tortoise World. Willow Tree said. The Black Tortoise World. Qin Feiyang murmured. Willow Tree seemed to have thought of something, and his face became serious. There's also something I have to remind you of. What? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Willow Tree said. There's another rule in the Black Tortoise World. This rule is that no one can kill false god-level beasts. Why? Qin Feiyang frowned. Willow Tree shook his head and said, I don't know. This is the order of the Vanga League and the Fengtian Palace. Everyone has to follow it. Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Why did the Vanga League and the Fengtian Palace issue such an order? What did the divine beasts here have to do with them? Qin Feiyang said. What about the other beasts? That's up to you as long as you have the ability. Willow Tree smiled. Got it. Qin Feiyang nodded thoughtfully. While they were talking, Willow Tree led Qin Feiyang for hundreds of thousands of miles. Willow Tree was quite familiar with the Devil's Land, so when he encountered the territory of the divine beasts, he bypassed it in advance. The other beasts did not pose a threat to him, so he was unimpeded along the way. Boom! Another half an hour passed. Sounds of battle gradually came from the front left, and he could sense the aura of humans. Willow Tree raised his eyebrows and murmured, although this is no longer the central area, it's still the deep area of the Devil's Land. Why would there be people here? He looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, do you want to go and take a look? Qin Feiyong glanced around and asked, "Are there any false god-level beasts nearby?" "No. The 10 false god-level beasts are all in the central area. But if there's too much noise, they will be drawn out," Willow Tree said. Qin Feiyong heard this, thought for a while and nodded. "Then let's go and take a look." "Okay." Chapter 1550. Rumble. Crack. In the sky above a forest, 2 figures fought crazily, causing the sky to darken. It was a man and a woman. The man was a purple-clothed young man. His grayish-white hair fluttered behind him, making rustling sounds. His body was also surrounded by grayish-white flames. These flames actually carried an aura of death. At first glance, it was as if he was possessed by the god of death. It gave people a feeling of fear and trepidation. The woman was a woman in white. Her clothes were tattered and stained with blood. Both of their cultivations had reached the peak of the 9-star combat emperor realm. But in comparison, the purple-clothed young man's strength was much stronger than the white-clothed woman's. "Who are you? You're so strong. Why haven't I seen you before in Peach Blossom City?" The white-clothed woman shouted as she desperately resisted and looked at the purple-clothed young man in shock and anger. "Peach Blossom City?" The purple-clothed young man was stunned and said, "What the hell is Peach Blossom City? You don't even know Peach Blossom City. Could it be?" The white-clothed woman looked at the purple-clothed young man in surprise. The purple-clothed young man waved his hand impatiently and said, "Don't care who I am. Just hand over your chi and blood obediently." He had a dignified appearance and was extraordinarily handsome. However, his entire body exuded a shocking evil aura. Like a demon. The white-clothed woman said angrily, "Why do you want my chi and blood? Do I have a grudge against you?" "No. You can only blame your bad luck for bumping into me." The purple-clothed young man laughed sinisterly. The grayish-white flames were like a huge wave drowning the sky. A shocking scene appeared. Wherever the huge wave passed, whether it was the surrounding beasts or flowers and trees, their chi and blood and essence were rapidly drained and withered. It was like a terrible plague. "You've gone too far." The white-clothed woman was furious. They had just met by chance, but he actually forced her to hand over her chi and blood without any explanation? Wasn't this the behavior of a demon? She raised her hands and pushed fiercely. Battle chi surged. A huge violent ape roared as it charged out. The violent ape was hundreds of feet tall. It had 3 heads and 6 arms. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws. It was like an ancient demon ape. Its ferocity was extremely terrifying. The purple-clothed young man smiled disdainfully, and a grayish-white flame swept out. When the violent ape was submerged in the flames, the white-clothed woman's expression changed. She could feel that the flame was robbing the violent ape's energy. The violent ape was formed from battle chi. Under the plundering of the flames, the violent ape collapsed in the void in less than 3 breaths. As for the scattered battle chi, it was completely absorbed by the flames, leaving not a single trace behind. How is this possible? The white-robed woman was dumbfounded. Not only could it plunder the blood essence of beasts and the essence of plants, it could even plunder battle chi? Was this person really a demon? Thinking of this, the white-clothed woman's eyes were filled with fear. She turned around and took a mysterious step, flying away like lightning. None of the prey that I've locked onto have been able to escape. The purple-robed young man snickered and stuck out his scarlet tongue like a demon from hell. Whoosh! The next moment, he turned into a grayish-white flowing light and caught up to the white-clothed woman in a few blinks of an eye. His big hand was like a devil's claw, reaching for the white-clothed woman's head. With a cracking sound, the white-clothed woman's skull shattered. His 5 fingers sank into her head. Waves of blood essence flowed into the purple-robed young man's body through his 5 fingers like a tide. Haha. This feeling is really good. With this demonic skill in hand, I will dominate the world sooner or later. Those who follow me will prosper, and those who oppose me will die. The purple-robed young man laughed wildly. After a while, the white-clothed woman turned into a dried corpse. Her angry eyes were filled with fear and despair before death. Trash. The purple-robed young man threw away the white-clothed woman's corpse and then glanced at the jungle below. He snickered and said, "Who will be the next prey? Don't be as boring as this time." After saying that, he turned around and left. Soon, two figures broke through the air and arrived. It was Qin Feiyong and Willow Tree. Damn, this is too cruel. When he saw the woman's corpse, Willow Tree's eyes widened in shock. However, Qin Feiyong frowned. What's wrong? Willow Tree came back to his senses and looked at him suspiciously. I'm very familiar with the way she died. And here? Qin Feiyong raised his head and glanced at the void. A cold light surged in his eyes, and he said, I'm also familiar with the remaining aura here. Who? Willow Tree was surprised. Zhuge Mingyang. Qin Feiyong said word by word. This guy really didn't die. He actually came here to stir up trouble. Zhuge Mingyang? Willow Tree was stunned and said in surprise, Is it the person you said can't be killed? Qin Feiyong nodded and frowned. I killed him 3 times, but each time he came back from the dead. I really don't understand. How did he do it? Willow Tree was secretly speechless. He didn't die after being killed 3 times. Was he the reincarnation of a cockroach? Wait. Suddenly, he looked at the white-clothed woman. As her qi and blood had been completely absorbed, not only had she turned into a mummy, even her face had become extremely old. It was difficult to recognize her at a glance. However, Willow Tree felt that she was somewhat familiar. He carefully identified her for a moment and exclaimed, She's actually Mu Ying. Mu Ying. Qin Feiyong was startled and asked suspiciously, Who is it? Someone from the Heavenly Sun Empire. He's one of the people in charge of the stronghold in Peach Blossom City, Willow Tree said. So it's like that. Qin Feiyong nodded in realization. Willow Tree laughed sinisterly. Zhuge Mingyang killed someone from the Heavenly Sun Empire. If the others from the Heavenly Sun Empire find out, they will definitely not let this matter rest. What do you mean? Qin Feiyong looked at him. Since this Zhuge Mingyang can't be killed, then we might as well make good use of it. Willow Tree said, his eyes shining. Good idea. However, we need to have concrete evidence. Qin Feiyong pondered for a moment, looked at Willow Tree and asked, Can we use the image crystal here? Since they could fly here and control the castle, then they should be able to use the image crystal. Yes. Willow Tree nodded. Then that's easy. Qin Feiyong smiled, called out White-Eyed Wolf and said, Quickly track Zhuge Mingyang's whereabouts. Okay. White-Eyed Wolf nodded, stood up, sniffed carefully, and pointed in the direction Zhuge Mingyang went and said, Over there. Follow him. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. Willow Tree waved his hand, rolled up Qin Feiyong and White-Eyed Wolf, and immediately chased after Zhuge Mingyang. Willow Tree was a false god, and he had mastered an auxiliary divine art. How astonishing was his speed! In less than 100 breaths, he took Qin Feiyong and White-Eyed Wolf and caught up with Zhuge Mingyang. But he did not expose his whereabouts. 2 people and a wolf hid in the forest below, secretly following. Whoosh! Soon, a black-clothed old man appeared in front of them. Willow Tree looked at the black-clothed old man and said, He is from the main tower called Emoyi. He is also one of the people in charge of the main tower stronghold in Peach Blossom City. White-Eyed Wolf said, He should also be killed by Zhuge Mingyang. Qin Feiyong laughed. So quickly prepare the image crystal to record it. Willow Tree nodded and immediately took out the image crystal. Zhuge Mingyang also saw the black-clothed old man, and a bloodthirsty light flashed in his eyes. But then, his aura was completely restrained. His eyes also softened. The black-clothed old man also noticed Zhuge Mingyang. Although Zhuge Mingyang looked harmless, the black-clothed old man did not let down his guard. Because someone who could walk into the depths of the Devil's Land was definitely not a simple person. Old man. Zhuge Mingyang went up to greet him and cupped his hands. You are? The black-clothed old man stopped in front of Zhuge Mingyang and looked at this unfamiliar face suspiciously. Zhuge Mingyang smiled and said, Junior is Zhuge Mingyang. I would like to ask you, old man, how do I get to Peach Blossom City? Zhuge Mingyang? The black-clothed old man was slightly stunned. He had never heard of this name before. Chapter 1551. He can even devour battle arts? Willow Tree was dumbfounded. Qin Feiyong and White-Eyed Wolf were also shocked by Zhuge Mingyang's methods. This person's strength and methods were much stronger than before. Zhuge Mingyang waved his hand and grabbed the black-clothed old man's neck. His eyes flickered with blood as he said, "Can you answer my question now?" The black-clothed old man quivered and hurriedly said, "I'm from the main tower." "You're from the main tower?" Zhuge Mingyang was stunned and said, "Since you're from the main tower, why don't you recognize me, Zhuge Mingyang?" The black-clothed old man said, "It's a long story. Let me go and I'll tell you slowly." "Slowly? Do you think I have a lot of time? Since you can't explain it clearly in a short time, then don't say it. In any case, whether you're from the main tower or the Great Qin, you must be killed." Zhuge Mingyang smiled sinisterly. His 5 fingers suddenly exerted force, and the black-clothed old man's neck was broken on the spot. The blood and qi in his body were all absorbed by him, and he became a dried corpse. Willow Tree said in shock, "Damn, what kind of demonic technique is this? It's too crazy." "I don't know either." Qin Feiyong shook his head. Suddenly, Zhuge Mingyang lowered his head and scanned the forest. His eyes were incomparably sharp as he shouted, "Who's down there? Have we been discovered?" Qin Feiyong was stunned. "How dare you spy on me from the dark? You're courting death." Zhuge Mingyang did not say anything and waved his hand. Suddenly, grayish-white flames poured down like a waterfall. "You really think you're something?" Qin Feiyong smiled coldly. Without waiting for Qin Feiyong's order, Willow Tree waved his hand and blasted the flames with divine power. With a rumble, the flames were instantly extinguished. Zhuge Mingyang's body trembled. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. His face was full of shock. It was actually a false god. But at the same time, Qin Feiyong, Willow Tree, and White-Eyed Wolf were also dumbfounded. The blood that flowed out of Zhuge Mingyang's mouth had also turned grayish-white. This was too inconceivable. Qin Feiyong took a step forward and soared into the sky, landing in front of Zhuge Mingyang. White-Eyed Wolf and Willow Tree followed closely behind him. "So it's you." Zhuge Mingyang smirked at Qin Feiyong. "Not bad." He reached the peak of the 9-star combat emperor realm so quickly, Qin Feiyong said with a smile. Zhuge Mingyang grinned. "I have to thank you for that." Qin Feiyong smiled. Zhuge Mingyang's gaze turned and fell on Willow Tree. His pupils shrank slightly. Then he looked at Qin Feiyong and said, "You're not bad either. You actually subdued a false god. Compared to you, I'm still far behind. Let's cut the crap. Let's work together." Qin Feiyong said. "Work together?" Zhuge Mingyang was stunned and said in surprise, "You actually want to work with me? Is the sun rising from the west?" Qin Feiyong said indifferently, "There are no eternal enemies, only eternal benefits. You should understand this." "That's right." Zhuge Mingyang nodded and said jokingly, "But do you think there's a possibility of us working together?" "Why not?" Qin Feiyong smiled. "Haha." Zhuge Mingyang raised his head and laughed. "Don't tell me you want to get back together with me after seeing my transformation and achievements today? If that's really the case, then you've disappointed me." "Presumptuous!" Willow Tree shouted angrily. Zhuge Mingyang's eyes suddenly turned cold. He looked at Willow Tree and shouted, "You're the one who's presumptuous. I'm talking to your master. Who are you to interrupt?" Willow Tree's face was gloomy. "It seems that I've hit your sore spot. But thinking about it, as a false god, it must be very uncomfortable to listen to a 6-star combat emperor." Zhuge Mingyang sneered. "You." Willow Tree could no longer control himself and was about to attack. But at this time, Qin Feiyong stopped him and said with a smile, "Why bother with a clown? Haha, yes, I'm a clown. However, sooner or later, you'll die in the hands of a clown like me." Zhuge Mingyang laughed. "I'll wait. Let's talk about the current situation first. Do you want to cooperate?" Qin Feiyong said. "No need." Zhuge Mingyang was dismissive. "Okay." Qin Feiyong nodded and led White-Eyed Wolf and Willow Tree away. "You're leaving just like that?" Zhuge Mingyang was stunned and said angrily, "Stop right there. Is there anything else?" Qin Feiyong stopped and said without looking back. Zhuge Mingyang said, "Shouldn't you kill me now? Why don't you do it?" "Do you really want me to kill you?" Qin Feiyong turned to look at Zhuge Mingyang and asked. "Yes, very much. Because the more you kill me, the stronger I will become." Zhuge Mingyang grinned. Is that so? Then I can't kill you. However, you can find someone else such as Mu Tianyang. He's in the devil's land now. Also, there are 10 pseudo-god beasts in the central area. If you really want to die, you can go find them. Qin Feiyang said. You have no guts. You're a coward. I despise you. Zhuge Mingyang roared. Do you think you can anger me like this? Qin Feiyang turned his head and shot a glance at Zhuge Mingyang. His face was filled with disdain. Immediately after, his eyes flashed and he said, The Peach Blossom City that you want to know, I know where it is. Where is it? Zhuge Mingyang raised his eyebrows. In the west, you can see it when you walk out of this mountain range. There are many things you can't imagine there. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he did not stay any longer and quickly disappeared. He deliberately said this to lead Zhuge Mingyang to Peach Blossom City. Peach Blossom City. Zhuge Mingyang muttered to himself and scanned his surroundings. What was this place? Why did it look so strange? Whoosh! At that moment, he turned in the air and flew toward the west. In the forest, Willow Tree frowned and said, Why is he in such a hurry to die? This Zhuge Mingyang, there must be something wrong with his head. Maybe he's not lying. The more you kill him, the stronger his cultivation will become. Qin Feiyang said. White-Eyed Wolf said, If that's the case, then the next time you kill him, will he be able to directly step into the pseudo-god realm? I'm afraid it's not that easy. If you want to break this shackle, you can only comprehend the profound meaning of becoming a god. After Willow Tree finished speaking, he looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, Also, why didn't he find someone else but you? Could it be that this demonic art of his has something to do with you? Who knows? Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead, unable to figure it out. Willow Tree said, Then what should we do now? Qin Feiyang said, Go and record the corpse of the woman in white, and then spread it through your network. It's not a problem to spread it. But when Muing died, we weren't there. Just recording her corpse is not enough to prove that she was killed by Zhuge Mingyang. Willow Tree frowned. No, it's enough to prove it. Because her death is exactly the same as that of the old man in black. Qin Feiyang said. Willow Tree was stunned, then nodded and said with a smile, I didn't think of that. Okay, wait for me here. I'll be right there. Swish. After saying that, he took a big stride and disappeared without a trace. White-Eyed Wolf retracted his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang, saying, Little Qin Zi, do you think Zhuge Mingyang is in cahoots with Mu Tianyang? What do you mean? Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked suspiciously, Do you still remember what happened at the Crocodile Emperor's water source? White-Eyed Wolf asked. Qin Feiyang nodded. At that time you caught Lu Xingqian. Lu Xingqian was doomed, but Zhuge Mingyang suddenly made a move secretly and let Lu Xingqian escape from your hands. If the two of them are not in cahoots, why would he help Lu Xingqian? White-Eyed Wolf said. This is easy to explain. Judging from his usual behavior, he just wants to go against me. Anything that's disadvantageous to me, he'll stick his foot in. Also, Mu Tianyang's existence can help him share some of the pressure. After all, once Mu Tianyang is dead, I can focus on dealing with him. I think Mu Tianyang should be thinking the same. Qin Feiyang said. White-Eyed Wolf said angrily, These two damn bastards are getting more and more troublesome. It doesn't matter. They are growing, so are we. It's still unknown who will emerge victorious. Qin Feiyang smiled indifferently, but a cold light flashed in his eyes. White-Eyed Wolf said, You can't be careless. If the two of them really join forces, it will be really troublesome. I know. Qin Feiyang nodded. Whoosh. After a while, Willow Tree came back again. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, The news has been spread. As for whether they will come in to hunt down Zhuge Mingyang, we will know in a while. Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, Can we use the teleportation gate here? Willow Tree said, Not in the 4 forbidden areas, but outside it is. Qin Feiyang said, How long will it take to reach Peach Blossom City? Willow Tree thought for a moment and said, According to my speed, it should take another hour. Then let's go. Qin Feiyang laughed and sent White-Eyed Wolf to the castle. Willow Tree waved his hand, rolled up Qin Feiyang, and rushed towards the west. As Zhuge Mingyang was also going to Peach Blossom City, they soon saw Zhuge Mingyang again. The two of them were not in a hurry to travel. They followed Zhuge Mingyang from the beginning to the end, maintaining a distance of 50 to 60 miles. And this time their auras were restrained to the extreme. Zhuge Mingyang did not notice them. About 100 breaths of time. Buzz. Suddenly, Willow Tree's image crystal sounded. Willow Tree quickly took out the image crystal. Qin Feiyong silently retreated to the side. That moment, the image of a white-clothed old woman appeared. Looking at Willow Tree, the white-clothed old woman looked extremely respectful. She bowed and said, "Greetings, Elder Lu." Willow Tree nodded and asked, "What is the reaction of the main pagoda and the Heavenly Sun Empire?" The white-clothed old woman said, "They have already sent people to guard the entrance of the Devil's Land." "How many people?" Willow Tree said. The white-clothed old woman said, "They have sent 10 people each, all of whom are at the peak of the 9-star War Emperor realm." "Very good. Give the order now. No matter what happens later, our Netherhall's people are not to interfere." Willow Tree said. "Yes." The white-clothed old woman respectfully replied, and the image quickly dissipated. Willow Tree also put away the image crystal, turned to look at Qin Feiyong, and laughed sinisterly. "There will be a good show to watch later. I'm looking forward to it." Chapter 1552. Time flew by and the sky gradually darkened. In the evening a white mist gradually emerged from the Devil's Land, making this place even more mysterious. Finally, the entrance to the Devil's Land entered Qin Feiyong's line of sight. It was a majestic mountain ridge that extended to the end of the world on both sides, with only one gap. This gap was the entrance. Qin Feiyong asked, "Is there only one entrance to the Devil's Land?" Willow Tree nodded and did not continue to follow Zhuge Mingyang, and rushed towards the mountain ridge on the side. Not long after, the two climbed up the mountain ridge. A castle in the distance immediately entered Qin Feiyong's line of sight. The city covered an area of about a dozen miles, and was located in the middle of a vast plain. There were no big trees on the plain, and it was full of green grass. The view was very wide. Although it was already evening, there were still many children playing on the plain. Between the plain and the mountain ridge, there was a river. It was about half a mile wide, like a winding python, separating Peach Blossom City and the Devil's Land. However, Qin Feiyong was surprised to find that the water in the river was black like ink. It was extremely strange. Willow Tree said, "This river is called the River of Bone Erosion, and it surrounds the entire Devil's Land." River of Bone Erosion? Qin Feiyong was stunned. That's right. This River of Bone Erosion is a natural barrier that no one can cross, Willow Tree said with an extremely solemn expression. Really? Qin Feiyong looked at the river in surprise. Of course it's true. That's because this river contains a mysterious power. Even a false god can't fly above the river. Moreover, this mysterious force will be like an invisible hand, pulling you into the river. Willow Tree said. So magical? Qin Feiyong was stunned and asked, "What will happen if I fall into the river?" Willow Tree said, "The body will be corroded by the river, and even the bones will not be left. This is why it is called the River of Bone Erosion." So powerful? Qin Feiyong was shocked. Yes, even if I were to fall into the river, I wouldn't be able to escape death, let alone a battle emperor like you, Willow Tree said. Qin Feiyong was secretly flabbergasted. He glanced at the river and suddenly saw a stone bridge in front of the entrance to the Devil's Land. The stone bridge was about 2 meters wide. It was completely black and gave off an ancient aura. It stretched across the sky above the River of Bone Erosion, connecting the Devil's Land to the plains on the other side. Qin Feiyong asked, "Is that the only entrance?" "Yes," Willow Tree said. Qin Feiyong nodded and turned to look at Zhuge Mingyang. At this moment, Zhuge Mingyang had almost reached the entrance. Qin Feiyong asked, "Can you guess where the main tower and Heavenly Sun Empire's people are hiding?" "It should be in the dense forest on both sides of the entrance," Willow Tree said with a smile. Qin Feiyong looked at the River of Bone Erosion again, his eyes flashing. "What are you thinking?" Willow Tree was suspicious. This river can even kill a false god. If Zhuge Mingyang falls into it, won't he have a chance to revive? Qin Feiyang whispered. Yes. Why didn't I think of that? All living beings that fall into the river of bone corrosion, without exception, will be destroyed in both body and soul. No matter how heaven-defying this person is, he won't be able to revive, Willow Tree said excitedly. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent, then changed the plan and take the opportunity to push him into the river of bone erosion. Back in the imperial capital, he didn't put Zhuge Mingyang in his eyes at all. But since entering the divine ruin, Zhuge Mingyang's ability had exceeded his imagination time and time again. This made him have no choice but to treat him seriously. As long as there was a chance, he had to think of a way to get rid of him. And then there was Zhuge Mingyang. He suddenly stopped and looked at the entrance in front of him. Why did he stop? Did he find an ambush? Willow Tree was bewildered. Maybe. After all, his perception and insight are much stronger than before, Qin Feiyang said. If it was in the past, Zhuge Mingyang definitely wouldn't have been able to find them when they were killing the black-clothed old man. This meant that not only was Zhuge Mingyang's strength transforming, but other aspects were also changing. Kiki. Suddenly, Zhuge Mingyang laughed sinisterly and continued to fly toward the entrance. Look at the smile on his face. He must have found an ambush. But he's still so fearless even after finding out. What is this guy relying on? Willow Tree frowned. In less than 5 breaths, Zhuge Mingyang flew above the entrance. The river of bone erosion and the opposite Peach Blossom City immediately entered his sight. Qin Feiyang really didn't lie to me. But what does he want to do? Could it be that the people lying in ambush here have something to do with him? He wants to kill with a borrowed knife. Zhuge Mingyang looked at Peach Blossom City, his eyes flickering. Suddenly, he stopped again and stood in the air, looking down at the jungle below and said, "All of you are hiding like cowards. Don't you feel uncomfortable? Come out." He actually found out? In the jungle, a surprised voice immediately sounded. Whoosh! Immediately after, 20 figures rushed out like lightning, and a terrifying aura burst out one after another. Among these 20 people, there were men and women, old and young. But without exception, the aura they exuded was extremely terrifying, and their eyes were shining with a fierce light. Are they really coming for me? Zhuge Mingyang was surprised. Previously, he only sensed that there was an ambush, but he wasn't sure if they were ambushing him. Those 20 people soared into the sky and surrounded Zhuge Mingyang. Not bad. 20 peak 9-star war emperors, you really think highly of me, Zhuge Mingyang. But I'm very puzzled. Who are you people? Why are you ambushing me here? Zhuge Mingyang laughed. You cruelly killed Muing and Mo Yi, and you still dare to ask us why? One of the old women in green stared at Zhuge Mingyang coldly. Muing? Mo Yi? Who is it? Why don't I remember killing them? Zhuge Mingyang was suspicious. You still dare to quibble? The old woman in green roared and took out an image crystal. A video appeared in the void. It was the scene when Zhuge Mingyang killed the old man in black. So it's them. Zhuge Mingyang suddenly realized and laughed. So, it's really Qin Feiyang who asked you to intercept me here. Qin Feiyang? The 20 people looked at each other and were puzzled. You actually don't know Qin Feiyang? Could it be that there were other people present at that time? Zhuge Mingyang was surprised. The old woman in green roared, Don't worry about that. Whoever dares to kill people from our 2 forces, they must pay the price. Attack. The 20 people moved in unison. Battle arts. Fighting souls. It shocked everyone. Moreover, all of them were perfect battle arts. Hey! Zhuge Mingyang grinned. His blood-red eyes were like a devil's, filled with a vicious aura that couldn't be dispersed. Roar! The next moment, accompanied by a dragon's roar, a huge monster emerged from behind him. It was a gigantic dragon. The mighty dragon's aura covered the sky and rolled in all directions. Seeing the huge dragon, the old woman in green and the others did not have much of a reaction. However, Qin Feiyang's face was filled with disbelief. When they had fought at the Whitebone Canyon previously, Zhuge Mingyang's Azure Dragon fighting soul had already changed. However, last time only the color and aura of the fighting soul had changed. Previously it was an Azure Dragon. Last time it was a gray-white dragon. However, the fighting soul that had appeared now had a different shape, and was only left with a skeleton. In other words, at this moment, the fighting soul that Zhuge Mingyang had summoned was a skeletal dragon. The skeletal dragon's body was gray-white and emitted a deathly aura that was many times stronger than the last time. From the azure dragon, it became a gray-white dragon. From the gray-white dragon, it became a skeletal dragon. Could it be that this fighting soul would continue to change following Zhuge Mingyang's death? I'll let you have a taste of desperation. Zhuge Mingyang looked disdainfully in all directions. His eyes were filled with disdain as he said word by word, "Innate superpower, destroy." The skeletal dragon immediately roared towards the sky. An invisible force with it as the center rolled out in all directions. At first, the old woman in green and the others did not care. However, when they were enveloped by the invisible force, the group of people's faces changed. Their cultivation levels began to plummet. 9-star Combat Emperor. 8-star Combat Emperor. 7-star Combat Emperor. What? Qin Feiyang's body and mind trembled. He was deeply shocked once again. What's wrong? Willow Tree looked at him in surprise. In the past, his innate superpower could only cause one's cultivation level to drop by a small realm. Last time, because of the transformation of the fighting soul, his innate superpower had also evolved and could cause one's cultivation level to drop by 2 small realms. However, I did not expect his innate superpower to evolve again. Dropping by 3 small realms, terrifying, truly terrifying. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Originally, the old woman in green and the others' cultivation levels were the same as Zhuge Mingyang's. However, now the group of people had all become 7-star Combat Emperors. As for Zhuge Mingyang, he was still at the peak realm. They were merely 7-star Combat Emperors. Even if there were 200 or 2,000 of them, Zhuge Mingyang would be able to kill them easily. Because this was the difference between them. Innate superpower can evolve? Willow Tree was stunned. This must be a joke. After living for so many years, he had never heard of such a thing. Qin Feiyang suddenly turned his head to look at Willow Tree and said, "Those people are definitely no match for him. Go down immediately and find an opportunity to throw him into the river of erosion." Understood. Willow Tree nodded and retracted his aura. Like a ghost, he swept into the forest below. Indeed, it was as Qin Feiyang had expected. After the 20 people's cultivation levels dropped, they did not have the courage to continue fighting. They turned around and ran for their lives. As for the fighting skills and fighting souls that they had evolved, their power was greatly reduced under Zhuge Mingyang's innate superpower. They were no threat to Zhuge Mingyang at all. Rumble. Crack. Zhuge Mingyang only released his aura, and the fighting souls were destroyed one after another. Following that, he took a step forward and killed the old woman in green with a palm strike. The blood chi was also completely absorbed by Zhuge Mingyang. Only a dry corpse was left and it fell to the ground with a thud. Chapter 1553. Don't kill us. I beg you, let us go. It's us who were blind. The group of people begged as they fled. However, Zhuge Mingyang was like a demon god. His grayish-white pupils were filled with coldness and ruthlessness. He killed one person with each step. In less than 10 breaths, the remaining 19 people had all died and turned into dried corpses. What a bunch of idiots who don't know their own limits. Zhuge Mingyang was disdainful. He then raised his head and scanned the mountains on both sides. He sneered, "Qin Feiyang, I know you must be hiding nearby. Come out quickly. Don't hide like a turtle and not dare to see anyone." Qin Feiyang clenched his fists, a cold light flashing in his eyes. "You're not coming out? It doesn't matter. Anyway, you're no longer my match now." Zhuge Mingyang smiled contemptuously and raised his head to look at Peach Blossom City opposite him. His eyes were filled with a bloodthirsty light. At the same time, the commotion here had already alarmed the people of Peach Blossom City opposite. There were no less than 1,000 people gathered on the city wall. Their cultivation levels were basically 8-star Combat Emperors and above. However, looking at Zhuge Mingyang, their eyes were filled with fear. The children who were originally playing on the plains had already been picked up. Zhuge Mingyang asked with a smile, "Are you guys ready?" His voice was like a bell, spreading into Peach Blossom City. Ready for what? What does he want to do? Everyone was bewildered. Haha, prepare to welcome the arrival of the death god. Zhuge Mingyang raised his head and laughed loudly. He took a step forward and entered the sky above the river of bone erosion. But he didn't know. The river of bone erosion had a mysterious power. Immediately, he lost his balance and felt as if an invisible hand was dragging him into the river. What's going on? Zhuge Mingyang was bewildered. Seeing that he was about to fall into the river of bone erosion, he suddenly turned in the air and forcefully took a step out of the void, grabbing the stone bridge beside him. He actually didn't fall? What good luck! The people on the city wall were indignant. This kind of person should fall into the river of bone corrosion and not even have a corpse left. So there is something fishy about this river. Zhuge Mingyang glanced at the river below. With a slight push of his arm, he flipped over and landed steadily on the stone bridge. However, at this moment, Willow Tree, who had been hiding for a long time, suddenly dashed out from behind a rock at the end of the bridge like a bolt of lightning and slapped at Zhuge Mingyang's back. You were indeed hiding in the dark. Zhuge Mingyang smirked and activated his fighting soul. His gifted superpower reappeared. Willow Tree's cultivation level instantly dropped to the peak of the 9-star combat Emperor realm. How is this possible? Willow Tree was shocked. Qin Feiyang was also dumbfounded. Even a false god couldn't escape the suppression of this innate ability? Zhuge Mingyang abruptly turned around and looked at Willow Tree. He bared his white teeth and threw a punch. Gray-white battle chi surged out. Willow Tree quivered and came back to his senses. The battle chi in his palm roared. Boom! The fist and the palm met in an instant. A destructive aura crazily rolled out. Willow Tree's face turned pale and his feet retreated. On the other hand, Zhuge Mingyang didn't move at all. What is going on? Even if my cultivation level dropped to the peak of the 9-star combat Emperor realm, my strength shouldn't be so weak. Willow Tree's face was filled with disbelief. It's not that your strength is weak, it's that my strength is too strong. Because my current battle chi is 1 level stronger than any of your battle chi, this is an absolute advantage. In the same realm, I am invincible. Haha, Zhuge Mingyang laughed wildly. The stone bridge under their feet didn't move at all, as if it was made of divine iron. Willow Tree's face was dull. At this moment he finally understood why even Qin Feiyang was so afraid of that man. Too terrifying. He was simply a monster. However, Zhuge Mingyang's innate ability seemed to only be able to deprive him of a small realm. If that was the case, then the problem wasn't too big. I've killed many people, but I've never killed a false god. Today, I want to have a taste of what it's like to crush a false god. Zhuge Mingyang was overbearing as he took a step forward and slapped towards Willow Tree. Then I'd like to see if you have the ability to do so. Willow Tree was enraged. After all, he was a false god. How could he allow a mere war king to be so presumptuous? But at the same time, Qin Feiyang stepped on the air and landed on the bridge. He looked at Zhuge Mingyang and said, "You want to fight? I'll accompany you." After he finished speaking, he directly stepped onto the stone bridge and charged towards Zhuge Mingyang. At the same time, he sent a sound transmission to Willow Tree. Go to Peach Blossom City first and pretend that you don't know me. When Zhuge Mingyang saw Qin Feiyang, killing intent immediately surged in his eyes. He immediately gave up on Willow Tree and charged towards Qin Feiyang. Who is he? The people on the city wall looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Willow Tree looked at Qin Feiyang and Zhuge Mingyang. His eyes flashed, and he turned into a ray of light. He quickly left the stone bridge, crossed the plains and landed on the city wall. After leaving the range of his innate ability, his cultivation level immediately returned to the false god realm. And from the beginning to the end, his cultivation level had never dropped again. This meant that Zhuge Mingyang's innate ability could only cause the false god realm to drop by a small realm. Elder Lu, who are they? Why are they so unfamiliar? A group of people immediately swarmed forward and asked Willow Tree. Among these people there were people from the main tower, the Heavenly Sun Empire, and the Nether Hall. I don't know who they are either. Willow Tree shook his head. However, he was secretly paying close attention to Qin Feiyang's situation. At this moment Qin Feiyang had already entered the range of Zhuge Mingyang's innate ability. He did not activate the kill art. The cultivation level of a 6-star combat emperor instantly dropped to a 3-star combat emperor. How are you going to fight me with this little strength? You always say that I'm a clown, but I think you're worse than a clown. Zhuge Mingyang laughed loudly. Humph! Qin Feiyong snorted coldly. Battle art armor activated. Come, let me see how strong you are now. Even though he was only a 3-star combat emperor, he was not afraid at all and struck out with his palm. Then I'll let you see how weak you are now. Zhuge Mingyang laughed sinisterly and threw a punch at Qin Feiyong. Boom! The moment the fist and palm met, Zhuge Mingyang's eyes flashed with a hint of ridicule, and said, "Don't you want me to die? I'll satisfy you now." In an instant, Zhuge Mingyang actually withdrew all of his strength, including the grayish-white battle chi. What do you want to do? Qin Feiyong was both shocked and furious, but he did not have time to withdraw his strength and sent Zhuge Mingyang flying with a palm strike. Looking at Zhuge Mingyang falling into the river, Qin Feiyong was not happy, because this was equivalent to Zhuge Mingyang jumping in himself. Qin Feiyong said gloomily, "Don't you know that this river is enough to destroy your soul?" "I don't know. I don't want to know either. As long as I can die in your hands, it doesn't matter." Zhuge Mingyang smiled extremely brightly. "As long as you can die in my hands, it doesn't matter?" Qin Feiyong's heart trembled and said in shock, "That demonic art of yours is really related to me?" "That's right. Only if you kill me can I be reborn, and only if I die in your hands can my strength become stronger. Surprise, surprise. Just wait and see. The next time I revive, I will be a fake god. You'll never understand how exhilarating it is to make such a huge breakthrough." Haha, Zhuge Mingyang laughed maniacally, and with a thud, he fell into the river of corroding bones, and was instantly engulfed by the black river water. What's going on? The people on the city wall looked at each other in dismay. In this world, there was actually someone who wanted to die. Was he crazy? Willow Tree was also dumbfounded. In the past, he had only heard about it from Qin Feiyong, so he didn't feel anything. But now that he saw this scene with his own eyes, he was really shocked. Seeing Qin Feiyong standing alone on the bridge and looking at the place where Zhuge Mingyang fell into the water, Willow Tree sighed in his heart, jumped down the city wall, and rushed to Qin Feiyong's side in a few flashes. Willow Tree said telepathically, "Isn't this what you want? Why are you still so depressed now?" "I don't know either. The moment I saw him take the initiative to die, I felt a sense of frustration in my heart. Maybe it's because I didn't send him down with my own strength." Qin Feiyong thought to himself. Willow Tree said, "You're just too strict with yourself. There are some things that you don't need to take seriously, as long as you achieve your goal." Qin Feiyong was silent for a long time. Then he asked telepathically, "Can this river really destroy one's soul? I can guarantee it with my life. This person doesn't understand the terror of this river of bone corrosion. If he did, I can guarantee that he wouldn't dare to do this." Willow Tree sneered inwardly. Qin Feiyong's eyes flickered as he sighed inwardly. Hopefully, he won't come back to life. Otherwise, I really don't know how to kill him. With that, Qin Feiyong turned around and rushed toward the evil demon's land. "Where are you going?" Willow Tree asked inwardly. "My current strength is not enough to sweep through Peach Blossom City, so I have to raise my cultivation first. Wait for me in Peach Blossom City," Qin Feiyong said without looking back, and then he disappeared from the evil demon's land. A group of people ran over and looked at Willow Tree suspiciously. "Elder Willow Tree, what's going on?" "How should I know?" Willow Tree said angrily. "Then why didn't you ask him earlier? With your strength, you could have made him stay. Why did you let him leave?" Someone asked. "Are you all blind? Didn't you see the situation earlier? That young man who fell into the river of bone corrosion has a divine ability that can even suppress my cultivation. Do you think he's an ordinary person? Don't bother me. If you have the ability, then chase him into the evil demon's land and find him yourself," Willow Tree said impatiently. When everyone heard this, they smiled embarrassedly, not daring to say anything else. Willow Tree swept his gaze over the crowd. When he saw a few people from the Heavenly Sun Empire, a cold light flashed in the depths of his eyes. He waved his hand and said, "People of the Nether Hall, follow me." With that, he flicked his sleeves and left. The 5 old men quickly followed after him. Chapter 1554. As the night deepened, no one could be seen on the plains outside Peach Blossom City. However, the city was bustling with noise and excitement. The streets were decorated with lanterns and streamers, and there was an endless stream of people. All the restaurants were full of guests. Outside the city, the river of bone erosion. A young man covered in blood walked out of the entrance of the Devil's Land and stood in front of the stone bridge, looking at Peach Blossom City. Not only was there blood on his body, even his hair and eyes were blood red, emitting a monstrous killing intent. Tonight, Peach Blossom City will no longer be peaceful. The blood-soaked young man muttered to himself, stepped onto the stone bridge, and walked towards Peach Blossom City step by step. That's right. This person was Qin Feiyang. At this moment, his cultivation had soared to the peak of the 9-star War Emperor realm. But when he reached the middle of the stone bridge, Qin Feiyang suddenly stopped and looked down at the stone bridge. His eyes were filled with surprise. The confrontation between Zhuge Mingyang and the willow tree was enough to destroy mountains and rivers, but the stone bridge under his feet did not even have a crack? What was it made of? He leaned down and touched the stone bridge. A chill immediately flowed from his palm into his arm and finally swept through his entire body. But after careful observation, he found that this stone bridge was actually made of the most ordinary stone. However, in this stone bridge he could vaguely sense the aura of divine power. Come to think of it, this stone bridge had been tempered by divine power, which was why it was so hard. After figuring out the reason, he stood up and continued to walk towards Peach Blossom City. Not long after, he walked to the city gate and scanned the city wall. The city wall was more than 10 meters tall and was completely black. Every stone brick emitted an ancient aura. When he looked at the ground under the city gate, killing intent surged in his eyes. On the ground, there was a purple gold divine dragon totem. The entire totem was embedded in the ground. Whether it was people entering or leaving the city, they had to walk over the totem. But there was no one guarding the city gate. Preposterous. Qin Feiyang's eyes were tightly clenched. Swish. Suddenly, a figure silently rushed out. It was Willow Tree. He stood beside Qin Feiyang and looked at the totem on the ground. He said in a low voice, I just received news that Zhuge Mingyang massacred the people of the Heavenly Sun Empire and the main tower. This has alarmed the upper echelons of the 2 forces. Now, 2 false gods are preparing to come to Peach Blossom City. False god. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent as he asked, I remember you once said that Peach Blossom City does not belong to any faction. Yes. Willow Tree nodded. Since it doesn't belong to any faction, why is there Great Qin's totem here? Qin Feiyang said. This? Willow Tree hesitated. Speak, Qin Feiyang said. Willow Tree's gaze trembled as he quickly said, I am not the only one who understands the Heavenly Sun Empire's intention in doing this. Everyone in Peach Blossom City is well aware of it. However, no one took it to heart. After all, Great Qin is nothing in the Black Tortoise world. Moreover, there are no people from Great Qin here. To put it bluntly, what does Great Qin's totem being trampled on have to do with us? We naturally won't offend the Heavenly Sun Empire because of a totem. Therefore, everyone has an indifferent attitude. Willow Tree explained. Humph! Qin Feiyang snorted through his nose. Willow Tree couldn't help but panic and said, Should I deal with this totem immediately? No need, I'll do it myself. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and a purple gold dragon chi appeared, instantly erasing the totem on the ground. He then said, Take me directly to the Heavenly Sun Empire stronghold. Okay. Willow Tree nodded and opened a teleportation gate. Change your appearance slightly. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he stepped into the teleportation gate. Willow Tree took out an illusory form elixir and changed into the appearance of a middle-aged man. He hurriedly followed in. Qin Feiyang asked him to change his appearance for his own good, because, once the Heavenly Sun Empire's people saw Willow Tree, they would definitely drag the Nether Hall down with them. Swish! In the next instant, Qin Feiyang descended in front of a huge building. It was a magnificent palace that was more than 100 meters tall. It was dazzling with gold and jade and had an extraordinary aura. In front of the door, there were 2 middle-aged men guarding. They had the cultivation of 8-star combat emperors. Above the door, there was a 5-clawed golden dragon that was more than 10 meters long. Its entire body seemed to be cast in gold and it looked very lifelike. On the ground in front of the door, there was also a purple-gold divine dragon totem. Everyone who entered or exited had to step on it. Willow Tree appeared immediately. He glanced at the 2 middle-aged men and pointed at the 5-clawed golden dragon above. That is the Heavenly Sun Empire's totem. Who are you? This is the Heavenly Sun Empire stronghold. Please leave immediately. The 2 middle-aged men glanced at Qin Feiyong and Willow Tree, raised their eyebrows and shouted, "If it's not the Heavenly Sun Empire stronghold, I wouldn't have come." Qin Feiyong smiled coldly and waved his hand. Flaming battle chi rolled out and blasted towards the 5-clawed golden dragon totem. Presumptuous! The 2 men roared. Get lost! Willow Tree shouted coldly and his divine power roared out. What? He is a false god. Enemies are coming. Be alert. The 2 men's expressions changed and they immediately shouted. Whoosh! Immediately, figures kept flying out of the main hall in front of them. When the people on the nearby streets heard the news, they also rushed into the sky and stood in the sky, looking at the Heavenly Sun Empire stronghold. It's him. That unfamiliar young man. Didn't he enter the Devil's Land? Why is he in Peach Blossom City? Wait. Look at his cultivation. He is actually a peak 9-star combat emperor. Why do I remember that when I saw him not long ago? He was only a 6-star combat emperor. Everyone was in an uproar. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. Flaming battle chi roared in the sky and those who flew out couldn't stop it in time. With a loud bang, the 5-clawed golden dragon totem and the entire palace collapsed in an instant. Bastard! How dare you cause trouble in my Heavenly Sun Empire stronghold? One figure after another rushed out of the dust and smoke, all of them bristling with anger. Willow Tree hurriedly reminded, Young lord, you can't kill people here. Otherwise it will cause public outrage. Public outrage? That's just because I'm not strong enough. Qin Feiyong sneered and flew up 90,000 miles. Standing in the sky above the city, his flaming battle chi rolled and the sky seemed to have turned into a sea of fire, shining in all directions. Willow Tree smiled helplessly and could only follow. Who are you? Why did you destroy my Heavenly Sun Empire stronghold? A white-haired old man looked at the destroyed palace and his eyes were filled with anger. He raised his head and stared at Qin Feiyong as he shouted in a stern voice. I'm the one who wants your lives. Qin Feiyong said coldly. Arrogant. The white-haired old man was furious. He looked at the crowd and said, everyone saw it with their own eyes. It was this person who started it first. Therefore, you can't blame my Heavenly Sun Empire for killing people in the city. You're a madman who does evil. You deserve to die. Someone shouted. The rest of the people nodded. The white-haired old man smiled coldly and waved his hand. A group of people suddenly rose into the sky. There were more than 30 people in total. Without exception, they were all peak 9-star combat emperors. Such a lineup was actually quite terrifying. However, they were still a little lacking in front of Qin Feiyong. Cripple him for this old man. The white-haired old man shouted. The 30 people immediately burst out with monstrous emperor aura and charged towards Qin Feiyong. A group of ants dares to jump in front of me. All of you die. Qin Feiyong's eyes were like lightning. He used the phantom step and like a ghost, he swept behind one of the people. He quickly raised his arm and his 5 fingers were like an eagle's claw. He grabbed the person's head and crushed it on the spot. Screams resounded through the night sky. Fresh blood splattered on the ground. You dare to kill people in the city? Too much, too much. The people roared. Another scream rang out. A middle-aged man in white was smashed by Qin Feiyong's punch. His flesh and blood splattered everywhere. This person is really terrifying when he goes crazy. Willow Tree muttered. Use battle arts and fighting souls. The white-haired old man's pupils contracted. This young man's strength was much stronger than he had expected. Upon hearing the white-haired old man's words, the rest of the people immediately retreated. They used battle arts and activated their fighting souls. Every battle art was a perfect battle art. Every fighting soul exuded an aura that could destroy the world, shaking the world. But Qin Feiyang's expression did not change. He took a step back and stood in front of Willow Tree. He raised his hand and pointed. An invisible force suddenly surged out. The void was distorted at this moment, and the divine power rolled through the sky. The fourth move of the void returning art, void returning. It's actually a divine art. The white-haired old man's expression changed and he roared, retreat. At the same time, he rushed into the sky and stood in front of the invisible force. His hands immediately formed a seal in front of his chest. Qin Feiyang was surprised. Willow Tree said. His name is Mu Dao, the main person in charge of the stronghold in Peach Blossom City. He also has a divine art. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood. No wonder this old thing dared to come and block the way. It turned out that he also had a divine art. Roar! All of a sudden, a beast's roar resounded through the sky. In front of Mu Dao, a huge ferocious beast roared and charged out. It was a giant tiger. The fur all over its body was like satin, shining with golden light. There was a king character between its eyebrows. It was like the king of all beasts had descended, and its divine power intimidated everyone. The giant tiger roared and pounced at the invisible force with a terrifying ferocious might. The two divine arts collided with a loud bang. A terrifying shockwave instantly surged out in all directions. Oh no, the city will be destroyed. Where's Elder Willow Tree? Right now, only he can stop this shockwave in Peach Blossom City. Get him to come out and help. Everyone roared. However, the people of the Nether Hall were also confused. This was because they did not know where Willow Tree had gone. Boom! Just as everyone was about to escape, Willow Tree, who was standing in the sky, finally made his move. He took a step forward and stood above the city. With a wave of his hand, the shockwave that was rushing towards the city instantly disappeared. Who is he? He dissolved the shockwave with a wave of his hand. Is he also a false god? Everyone was surprised. Chapter 1555. Poof! The stalemate lasted for a moment. Mu Dao spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out like a kite with a broken string. His face was pale. He looked at Qin Feiyang again. Although his face was pale, he stood in the void and did not move half a step. So strong. Mu Dao looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. They were both divine skills and both were at the peak of the 9-star combat emperor realm. How could he lose? There's no suspense. Willow Tree looked at Qin Feiyang and then at Mu Dao. He could not help but shake his head and mumble. But suddenly, Qin Feiyang's body shook violently. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper. What's going on? Willow Tree's eyes widened in disbelief. Mu Dao's face was also full of shock. Wasn't he fine before? Why did he suddenly become so weak? Could it be that he was also seriously injured and was just enduring it? Swoosh! Suddenly, Qin Feiyang turned around and flew out of the city. Stop! Seeing Qin Feiyang running away in a panic, Mu Dao was even more convinced of his thoughts. In the previous collision, this man was seriously injured. He immediately let out a stern shout and chased after Qin Feiyang with extreme speed. Weren't you very arrogant just now? Why are you running now? You want to leave after killing someone? How can it be so easy? The rest of the people from the Tianyang Empire, including the 39-star combat emperors who were at the peak of the 9-star combat emperor realm, roared angrily and chased after him. Let's go and watch the show. Seeing this, the people from the other forces followed one after another. Willow Tree naturally followed, but his eyebrows were tightly knitted together. What was the young lord doing? He did not believe that Mu Dao could seriously injure Qin Feiyang, because he knew Qin Feiyang very well and had many tricks up his sleeve. To put it bluntly, if they were to fight seriously, Mu Dao would not be Qin Feiyang's opponent. But why did he choose to run away? Wait! Suddenly, Mu Dao, who was chasing after Qin Feiyang, seemed to have thought of something. His body shook violently, and then he slammed on the brakes and stopped in the void. He turned his head to look at the Willow Tree, his eyes full of vigilance. This person seemed to have come with the young man? Don't worry. Even if you kill him, I won't do anything, Willow Tree said calmly. It could be seen that Qin Feiyang didn't want him to intervene now. Otherwise, he wouldn't have turned around and left. That's good. Mu Dao heaved a sigh of relief and continued his pursuit. Night fell. The originally deathly silent plain suddenly became lively. Qin Feiyang streaked across the sky like lightning, landed on the stone bridge, and then rushed into the Devil's Land without looking back. Not long after, Mu Dao also brought a group of people and chased into the Devil Land. However, as soon as they entered the entrance, they were all stunned. Where is he? Hundreds of miles ahead. There was not a single person in sight. What they didn't know was that Qin Feiyang was right above them. Inside the castle, Qin Feiyang looked at Mu Dao and the others on the screen. His eyes were full of ridicule, and then he took out the image crystal. But suddenly, he was startled, and then he couldn't help but smile bitterly. What? The white-eyed wolf looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang said, I want to send a message to Lu Xingchen, but I suddenly remembered that Lu Xingchen is dead. Then send a message to Mu Qing. I remember that you have established a contract bridge before. The white-eyed wolf said. Whoosh! Suddenly, two ear-piercing sounds could be heard. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the image in the void turned to the direction of the depths of the Devil's Mountain range. His eyes suddenly flashed with a flash of light. In the image, two figures broke through the air. Who else could it be but Mu Qing and Mu Tianyang? Although Mu Tianyang was only a vague silhouette, his speed was extremely fast, shuttling through the night sky with Mu Qing. A good show is about to begin. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth lifted. He put away the image crystal and appeared above the entrance. The people outside also noticed Mu Qing and Mu Qing. So he was waiting for Mu Tianyang. Willow Tree suddenly realized. The others didn't know and thought that they were just passing by. When they saw Qin Feiyang appear, they immediately retracted their gazes and looked at Qin Feiyang. Kid, if you have the ability, continue to run. Mu Dao smiled sinisterly and directly soared into the sky, slapping at Qin Feiyang with his palm. The others of the Tianyang Empire were afraid that Qin Feiyang would escape again, so they all soared into the sky and surrounded Qin Feiyang. Hey! Qin Feiyang secretly smiled. While fighting with Mu Dao in the void, he transmitted a message to Willow Tree. Watch carefully. If anyone mentions the Tianyang Empire, kill them immediately. Yes. Willow Tree secretly responded. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. From the beginning to the end, he hadn't used his full strength. Not only did he not use his full strength, but he also deliberately made himself look very embarrassed. Lord, is that Qin Feiyang? The battle at the entrance immediately attracted Mu Qing's attention, and she asked in surprise. Bang! Bang! Boom! The battle looked very fierce. Qin Feiyang's appearance was indeed very disheveled and flustered. He can't beat them? Mu Qing stopped in the void and watched for a while, then she transmitted a message to Mu Tianyang. It seems that the Qi and Blood Pearl has really been shattered. Otherwise, he would have taken it out long ago. No. He didn't use his full strength at all. Can't you see that he has no injuries at all? This bastard is obviously playing with those people. Mu Tianyang snorted coldly. Mu Qing took a closer look and found that it was indeed so. Seeing that Mu Qing and Mu Dao were indifferent, Qin Feiyang said angrily, How long are you going to stand there? Come and help. This time, everyone finally began to look at Mu Qing and Mu Dao seriously. These two people were actually this person's accomplices? Wait, what was wrong with that person? Why could they only see a silhouette? Everyone looked at Mu Tianyang, their eyes full of surprise. Because they were far away before, they only noticed that two figures were flying this way, but they didn't realize that Mu Tianyang was an energy body. Seeing that Mu Qing and Mu Dao were still motionless, Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and pushed Mu Tianyang away with a palm. Then he broke out of the encirclement and ran to Mu Tianyang and Mu Dao. What do you mean? Didn't we agree to cooperate? He glared at the two of them. You still have the nerve to ask us what we mean? I haven't asked you yet. Do you know how we escaped from the hands of that golden divine leopard? It chased us for tens of thousands of miles. Do you know how dangerous it was for us at that time? If it weren't for Lord's great ability, I'm afraid we would have died under its claws now. Mu Qing said angrily. It was an accident. I thought that willow tree could subdue it. Who would have thought that willow tree was so weak that it was seriously injured by the golden leopard at the beginning? Qin Feiyong transmitted his voice and laughed embarrassedly. Mu Dao sized up Mu Qing and Mu Tianyang and suddenly shouted, "Since they are his accomplices, then kill them together." A group of people immediately charged towards the three of them. Qin Feiyong said, "Did you see that? Even if you didn't attack, they wouldn't have shown mercy." "It's all your fault." Mu Qing glared at him. "Don't be like this. Do you know who they are? They are from the number 1 force in Peach Blossom City. As long as we kill them, we can get a lot of treasures, including that divine artifact." Qin Feiyong instigated. Mu Qing's eyes lit up when she heard about the divine artifact that could be compared to Chang Shui. Mu Tianyang's heart was also burning with passion. "Don't dawdle, hurry up. They still have a false god on their way. If we don't get rid of them first, it will be even more troublesome later." Qin Feiyong shouted and turned around to attack Mu Dao. Mu Tianyang looked at Qin Feiyong's back and said in a low voice, "You are too weak. Go to the castle and hide first." "Yes." Mu Qing nodded. Mu Tianyang waved his hand and Mu Qing immediately disappeared. Following closely, he took a step forward and charged towards an old woman. This person was also a 9-star war emperor. "You're courting death." The old woman didn't put Mu Tianyang in her eyes at all. "Who's courting death?" Mu Tianyang let out a sinister laugh as a terrifying aura burst out from his body. "What? False god." The old woman's eyes trembled as she turned around and fled. When the rest of the Tianyang Empire saw this, they also fled frantically without looking back. Mu Dao originally wanted to fight Qin Feiyong, but when he saw Mu Tianyang's strength, he immediately turned around and fled. "You only know how to run now? Too late." Mu Tianyang smiled disdainfully. The energy body collapsed and turned into a jet-black iron chain, instantly entering the back of the old woman's head. "Ah!" Accompanied by a scream, the old woman's head exploded on the spot. But this was only the beginning. The iron chain pierced through the air like a reaper, and it entered another person's head like a bolt of lightning. "Ah!" A series of screams resounded through the sky. One by one they fell down. Seeing Mu Tianyang crazily slaughtering, Qin Feiyong simply stood at the side like a bystander, watching a good show. In less than 10 breaths, more than 30 people were completely wiped out. Although Mu Dao had a divine art, he was not spared and was crushed by Mu Tianyang. What a terrifying strength! Who are they? Everyone was scared silly. A portion of the people even began to flee in a panic. Willow Tree's eyes flashed as he transmitted his voice. "Young master, the people who are fleeing are basically from the Tianyang Empire." Qin Feiyong smiled coldly and pointed at those people who were fleeing. "And them, don't let them escape." After saying that, he took the lead to pass through the crowd and kill those people. "Is it necessary to go through so much trouble to deal with these small fries?" Mu Tianyang's contemptuous voice echoed in the void. The next moment, the iron chain that he had transformed into collapsed and turned into tens of thousands of strands. They were like strands of hair that covered the sky and earth as they shot out. Accompanied by a series of shrill screams, those people who were fleeing fell one after another and died. "Amazing!" Qin Feiyong gave a thumbs up. "Humph!" Mu Tianyang condensed his energy body and snorted from his nose. "I'm not like you. As long as it's an enemy, you have to quickly kill them." Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded repeatedly. "You all deserve to die." Suddenly, an angry roar sounded, shaking the heavens and the earth. Boom! Then a terrifying divine might rolled toward them like a giant wave. "It's him." Willow Tree looked at the sky above the plane and transmitted his voice to Qin Feiyong. "Mu, he is here." Qin Feiyong's eyes darkened and secretly said to Willow Tree, "Now is a critical moment. There can't be any accidents, so as to avoid too many people talking and exposing Muhi's identity. Immediately take everyone here and stay away from us." "Understood." Chapter 1556. After Willow Tree left with his men, Qin Feiyong immediately looked at the sky above the plains. Although it was already late at night and the moon had not come out, he could clearly see a middle-aged man rushing towards him with a murderous aura. The middle-aged man was about 1.8 meters tall. His body was thin and he wore a long robe. His hair was mottled with white hair, and he was filled with vicissitudes of life. Qin Feiyang smirked and said to Mu Tianyang, "As long as we kill him, those treasures will be ours. Let's go." Finished. Qin Feiyang took a step forward, landed on the stone bridge, and rushed towards Mu He. "In the bag." "You're wrong. It's not ours. It's mine, Mu Tianyang's." Mu Tianyang secretly sneered and quickly chased after Qin Feiyang. As soon as he stepped on the stone bridge, he noticed something strange. However, at this moment there was no time to investigate or ask. He followed closely beside Qin Feiyang. Very soon, the two of them met Mu He. Mu He said angrily, "Who are you people? How dare you destroy my tent?" He was about to say that they actually dared to destroy his Tianyang Empire stronghold. But Qin Feiyang interrupted him and shouted, "Enough nonsense. Today, not only will we destroy your territory, we will also kill you." Of course, he would not let Mu He say it, because once Mu He revealed his identity, his plan would have to be announced as a failure. Although he had killed many people from the Tianyang Empire, they were only small fish. This Mu He in front of him was the big fish. So no matter what, he had to let Mu Tianyang kill Mu He with his own hands. Only when Mu Tianyang killed Mu He with his own hands would his painstaking plan not be in vain. Arrogant. Hearing Qin Feiyang's words, Mu He was instantly furious. "I'm arrogant, what can you do?" Qin Feiyang's eyes were overflowing with blood as he decisively used the 4 moves of the ruins of the end and charged towards Mu He. An ant trying to shake a tree? How naive and laughable. Mu He smiled disdainfully. With a wave of his hand, the power of the false god surged out and blasted towards the invisible force formed by the 4 moves of the ruins of end. Accompanied by a loud rumble, the invisible force was instantly annihilated. Qin Feiyang felt hot in his throat. He knew that things were not good. He hurriedly entered the ancient castle and immediately spat out a mouthful of dragon blood. "How is it?" Yu Huang stepped forward and asked with concern. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. "The strength of a false divinity is too strong. Without the blood chi pearl, it will be difficult to fight against it. Get ready. We might need your help later." Outside, Mu He scanned the void in bewilderment. He had actually disappeared without a trace? Could it be suddenly? His eyes were filled with intense greed as he stared at Mu Tianyang. Mu Tianyang said, "I do have a spatial divine item, but it depends on whether you have the ability to snatch it." Mu He sized up Mu Tianyang and his eyes suddenly widened. He said in surprise, "You're actually an energy body condensed from divine sense. You couldn't have been a war god in the past, right?" Swoosh! Qin Feiyang appeared again, and the blood at the corner of his mouth had been wiped clean. He said proudly, "That's right, he's a war god, so you'd better be sensible and obediently kneel and beg for mercy." Tsk tsk tsk. Mu He was speechless. But then his face was full of disdain. "So what if you're a war god? It's just a few strands of divine sense now. I can destroy them with a wave of my hand." Arrogant. Mu Tianyang was furious. He took a step forward and blasted a palm at Mu He with surging divine might. Mu He smiled coldly and punched without hesitation. The power of the false god surged. Boom! With a loud sound, Mu Tianyang's energy body immediately collapsed and let out a low groan. Obviously, Mu Tianyang was severely injured by Mu He. But before Mu He could laugh, the collapsed divine sense turned into a deadly iron chain again and went straight for Mu He's lower abdomen. Humph! Mu He seemed to have expected it. He snorted and reached out his right hand at lightning speed. He grabbed the tip of the iron chain and exerted force. With a clang, the tip of the iron chain shattered and turned into nothingness. Damn it! Mu Tianyang roared and quickly retreated to Qin Feiyang's side. He condensed his energy body and said, "He destroyed a strand of my divine sense. I can't play with you anymore." Qin Feiyang was stunned. He turned to look at Mu Tianyang and found that Mu Tianyang's energy body was indeed thinner than before. He could still see a silhouette before, but now he couldn't even see the silhouette clearly. It seemed that Mu Tianyang didn't lie. A strand of his divine sense was really destroyed by Mu He. In that case, Mu Tianyang only had 2 strands of his divine sense left. He became excited. If he attacked now, he might be able to take the opportunity to completely destroy Mu Tianyang. No. Although they were in a cooperative relationship now, with Mu Tianyang's character, he definitely wouldn't let his guard down. Once he attacked, he would definitely enter the space divine item immediately. Qin Feiyong said to himself, then you go to the space divine item first. I'll let Willow Tree and Yu Huang attack later. Once there's a chance, you immediately come out and kill him. Yu Huang? Mu Tianyang was stunned and asked, who is Yu Huang? Qin Feiyong grinned and waved his hand. Yu Huang immediately appeared in front of them out of thin air. What? A demigod-level dire beast. This bastard, when did you subdue it? Mu Tianyang was shocked. Qin Feiyong stared at Yu Huang as he smiled. Old brother, whether we can obtain victory today or not, we will have to depend on you. Leave it to me. Yu Huang laughed. The color of his body quickly changed as he merged into the void and charged toward Mu He. Mu He's eyes narrowed slightly as he sneered. So you have a pseudo-deity spirit snake. No wonder you dare to be so arrogant. However, if you think you can kill me with just this pseudo-deity spirit snake, then you're dreaming. Divine sense rolled out and covered all directions. Although Yu Huang changed the color of his skin and merged into the void, Mu He's divine sense was still pervasive. Soon he caught sight of Yu Huang's trace. He attacked forcefully and slammed his palm into the void. The void distorted. A giant tail appeared out of thin air, carrying a deafening sound of wind and thunder as it blasted toward Mu He's hand. Boom! The giant tail and the hand collided in an instant. Mu He was immediately sent flying, the skin on his arm lacerated. Yu Huang also appeared from the void. At this moment, its figure was over a few hundred zhang tall, like a magnificent mountain, standing in the sky with a ferocious aura. However, in the previous confrontation, its giant tail had been shattered by Mu He's palm and blood splattered everywhere. That's all there is to it. What's there to be arrogant about? Yu Huang laughed disdainfully. How dare you? Mu He roared. His imposing manner was like a rainbow as he rushed forward. You're the one who's being presumptuous. Yu Huang snorted coldly. Its huge body shook the void as it charged toward Mu He. The two demigod-level existences immediately engaged in a fierce battle in the sky above the plain. This Yu Huang can't be the phantom snake that you subdued in the Kirin army commander's residence, right? Mu Tianyang asked in surprise. How is that possible? The phantom snake emperor's cultivation is still far from the demigod level. Qin Feiyong said. Mu Tianyang asked, then where did you subdue Yu Huang? Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed and he said, we'll talk about this later. Now go to the spatial divine item and secretly look for an opportunity. Once you find the opportunity, you must kill it in one blow. Mu Tianyang looked at him deeply and then disappeared. In the spatial divine item, two demigods. Lord, Qin Feiyong's foundation is getting more and more terrifying. Mu Qing said in a deep voice. Yes. If this continues, I'm afraid that even I will have to respect him. Mu Tianyang sighed. This person was growing too fast and it was too late to stop him. Mu Qing looked at him and didn't say anything. He didn't expose him. In fact, Mu Tianyang had long been in awe of Qin Feiyong, but he didn't realize it. Perhaps he had already realized it, but he didn't want to admit it. Boom! Crack! The battle outside was getting more and more intense. The plains had been destroyed, and it was a scene of devastation. But Peach Blossom City was still intact. Qin Feiyong looked at Peach Blossom City suspiciously, and his pupils suddenly shrank. He saw a red-haired old man standing proudly on the city wall, protecting Peach Blossom City. Willow Tree said that the main tower and the Heavenly Sun Empire both sent demigods. Could he be the main tower's demigod? Qin Feiyong murmured. The red-haired old man seemed to have sensed something and also looked away from Yu Huang and Mu He to Qin Feiyong. That pair of eyes seemed to be condensed from divine fire, extremely eye-catching in the night sky, giving people a sense of oppression from the depths of their souls. Qin Feiyong was actually afraid and didn't dare to look directly at him. However, this kind of fear was instantly suppressed by him, and he looked at the red-haired old man without dodging. The red-haired old man looked a little surprised. He seemed to be surprised that Qin Feiyong dared to look directly at him. It's best if you don't interfere in my dispute with the Heavenly Sun Empire. Otherwise, even if you're from the main tower, I won't let you go. Qin Feiyong secretly muttered, then turned his head to look at the Devil's Land and shouted, "Come here quickly." His voice was like a bell, resounding through the sky. Huh? Muhi was startled. Could there be an accomplice? The red-haired old man also looked at the Devil's Land with a hint of surprise in his eyes. Who is he talking to? At the same time, in the sky above a mountain ridge in the Devil's Land, there was also a commotion. Willow Tree and others were gathered here. Except for Willow Tree, everyone else was whispering. Suddenly, Willow Tree took a step forward and soared into the sky. Huh? Immediately, everyone looked at Willow Tree in unison. One of them said, "Didn't you say that you won't interfere? That was just a moment ago. Now that the young master has spoken, I definitely can't sit back and do nothing." Willow Tree smiled faintly, landed on the stone bridge, and rushed to Qin Feiyong's side like lightning. "There's actually another fake god. Who the hell are you?" As soon as Muhi saw Willow Tree appear, he stared at Qin Feiyong in shock and anger and roared. Yu Huang shouted, "Cut the crap, today you will die without a doubt." Willow Tree glanced at Muhi and secretly said, "Young master, you don't have to worry. With Yu Huang's strength, killing him is no problem." "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyong was taken aback and secretly asked. Willow Tree smiled and said, "Because Yu Huang not only has a divine art, but also a terrifying divine artifact." "That's right." Chapter 1557. Wait! Suddenly, Qin Feiyong was stunned. He turned to look at the Willow Tree and said, "When you captured it in the valley, you didn't take away its divine artifact?" "Yes. But later, after I was captured by you, I returned it to it in the castle. At that time you were looking for herbs outside and didn't see it." The Willow Tree smiled bitterly. Qin Feiyong couldn't help but laugh. The Willow Tree said helplessly, "Does this count as going for wool and coming home shorn?" "Sort of." Qin Feiyong nodded and said, "However, in order to prevent any accidents, you'd better take action and let Yu Huang show his divine artifact." "Okay." The Willow Tree nodded and suddenly rushed into the sky and shouted, "Yu Huang, the young master has ordered you to take out your divine artifact and kill it quickly." "Divine artifact?" Muhi was shocked. "Human pet, don't talk to me in a commanding tone." Yu Huang glared at the Willow Tree fiercely, but he didn't argue too much. He quickly retreated to the Willow Tree and summoned his divine artifact. The Willow Tree was also furious when he heard the word, human pet. But in front of the enemy, he didn't want to be unreasonable. But the others? For example, Mu He, the red-haired old man, and Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing in the divine artifact were all dumbfounded. Did they hear it wrong? The phantom snake actually called this person a human pet? What was going on? Clang! All of a sudden, an earth-shattering sound exploded between heaven and earth. The few of them trembled as they glanced at Baiming Yu Huang. Their expressions drastically changed. They saw a palm-sized snake scale floating in the void in front of Yu Huang. The snake scale was as thin as a cicada's wing and was golden in color. It released a terrifying sharpness and even the void showed signs of breaking. A snake scale? Qin Feiyong was surprised. It could be seen that this was a real snake scale. But how could a snake scale become a divine artifact? Yu Huang roared, "Awaken together with me." Willow Tree nodded. His quasi-divinity energy surged toward the snake scales. The snake scales immediately released a world-shaking might. One man and one beast immediately took the snake scale and fought fiercely with Mu He while reviving the snake scale. Mu He's expression clearly started to panic. He shouted at the red-haired old man, "Wang Yuanshan, how long are you going to stand there? Quickly come and help." The red-haired old man glanced at Yu Huang and the Willow Tree before he leaped into the air. At the same time, Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed. He transformed into a beam of light and shot towards Wang Yuanshan, his eyes flashing with madness. He absolutely could not allow this person to join the battle. Suddenly, Wang Yuer's voice sounded in Qin Feiyong's mind. "Feiyong. Did he just say the name Wang Yuanshan?" Qin Feiyong was startled and replied, "That's right, what's wrong?" Wang Yuer said, "My grandfather is called Wang Yuanshan. He's from the main pagoda. Could he be my grandfather?" "What? Grandfather?" Qin Feiyong was stunned. Yes. I heard from my grandfather that 10,000 years ago, my grandfather and the previous chief pagoda master entered the divine ruins together. At that time your ancestor was also there. However, at that time, my grandfather's cultivation was still at the peak of the 9-star War Emperor realm, and he did not go to the second level. Later on, my grandfather did not return from the divine ruins. My grandfather thought that my grandfather had already died in the divine ruins. Wang Yuer said. Qin Feiyong asked, "Have you seen your grandfather?" "How could I have seen him? But I know what my grandfather looks like, because my grandfather treasures his portrait," Wang Yuer said. Qin Feiyong waved his hand, and Wang Yuer immediately appeared out of thin air, and said, "Quickly confirm it." Wang Yuer looked around and immediately noticed the red-haired old man, and her expression became excited. "That's right. It's my grandfather. 10,000 years ago he looked like this." After saying that, Wang Yuer flew towards the red-haired old man. Once a person reached the 9-star War Emperor realm, unless they wanted to, their appearance would not change. But looking at Wang Yuer's actions, Qin Feiyong's expression changed, and he quickly chased after her. Although Wang Yuer recognized Wang Yuanshan, he had never seen Wang Yuer before. Seeing Wang Yuer fly over, he would definitely treat her as an enemy. As expected, when Wang Yuanshan saw Wang Yuer fly over, his eyes flashed with killing intent. Qin Feiyong hurriedly transmitted his voice. "Elder Wang, don't do it, she's your relative." Wang Yuanshan was stunned and looked at Qin Feiyong with disgust and snorted. "You're a 9-star War Emperor realm peak, and you actually use such a despicable method, how shameful." Qin Feiyong couldn't help but be annoyed, and thought to himself, "I didn't lie to you, she's your great-granddaughter." "Great-granddaughter?" Wang Yuanshan frowned and looked at Wang Yuer. Qin Feiyong transmitted his voice. "She's from the main pagoda, called Wang Yuer, and her grandfather is called Wang Su." "What?" Wang Yuanshan's gaze trembled, and he stopped in the void, looking at Wang Yuer in shock. Swish! Wang Yuer flew in front of Wang Yuanshan, and looked at the face in front of her that she had never seen before, and tears flowed down her face. Wang Yuanshan murmured, "Are you really Suer's granddaughter?" Suer was naturally Wang Su. Wang Yuanshan was Wang Yuer's grandfather, and Wang Su was Wang Yuanshan's biological son. Yes. Wang Yuer nodded repeatedly, took off a jade pendant from her neck, and handed it to Wang Yuanshan. This jade pendant was only the size of a little finger, and it was dark green like a cluster of alchemy fire. Wang Yuanshan looked at the jade pendant, and his eyes trembled. Then he took the jade pendant from Wang Yuer's hand, lowered his head, and looked at it carefully for a while, and his eyes became wet. Wang Yuer said, "I heard from grandfather that this is our Wang family's heirloom, so I've always worn it." "That's right. This is the token of love between me and your great-grandmother. Although it's just a piece of jade, it's extremely important to me. So before entering the divine ruin, I was afraid of dying here. So I handed it to your great-grandmother and asked her to keep it well until I returned." Wang Yuanshan muttered, "Grandfather." When Wang Yuer heard this, she immediately jumped into Wang Yuanshan's arms. "Child, it's been hard on you." Wang Yuanshan was also very excited, and he hugged Wang Yuer tightly. It had been 10,000 years, and he finally saw his closest kin. What's going on? When the people of Peach Blossom City, Mu Qing and Mu He saw this scene, their faces were filled with surprise and doubt. Wang Yuanshan suddenly thought of something, and he grabbed Wang Yuer's shoulder and asked, "Child, where's your great-grandmother? Is she okay?" "Great-grandmother, she has passed away," Wang Yuer said sadly. Wang Yuanshan's body trembled and he said, "How is that possible? Although your great-grandmother's cultivation is not as good as mine, but it's true. Back then, when she saw that you didn't return from the divine ruin, she became depressed and cried all day long. In less than 2 years, she passed away at home. Grandfather told me this himself," Wang Yuer said. "Dead?" Wang Yuanshan muttered to himself, as if he had collapsed and slowly collapsed. Suddenly, he lay in the air and roared in pain, "I've let you down. Why did I enter the divine ruin back then? I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Did you meet your family?" Looking at Wang Yuanshan's appearance, Mu He's heart skipped a beat. If that woman was really Wang Yuanshan's relative, the situation would be bad. Grandfather, don't be like this. I believe that great-grandmother doesn't want you to be so sad for her in the underworld. Wang Yuer squatted in the air and comforted him in a low voice. No, I shouldn't have entered the divine ruin back then. If I didn't enter the divine ruin, I wouldn't be trapped here until now. Your great-grandmother's death is all my fault. Wang Yuanshan shook his head frantically. Qin Feiyang sighed deeply. Looking at Wang Yuanshan's painful expression, he could imagine how deep his relationship with Wang Yuer's great-grandmother was. He walked forward, looked at Wang Yuanshan and said, Elder Wang, as the saying goes, the dead can't be brought back to life. What you did is meaningless. Besides, being trapped here is not something you can decide. What you should do now is to cherish your family. Wang Yuanshan's gaze trembled, and he raised his head to look at Qin Feiyang and then at Wang Yuer. His emotions gradually calmed down. He got up, wiped away his tears, looked at Wang Yuer and asked, How are your grandfather and your parents? They're all fine. And grandfather also came to the divine ruin, Wang Yuer said. Where is he? Wang Yuanshan asked. Wang Yuer shook her head and said, He's not on the first floor. Wang Yuanshan said in surprise. If he's not on the first floor, doesn't that mean he's on the second floor? Yes. Grandfather has already broken through to the semi-divinity realm. The main reason he came to the divine ruin this time was to look for you. Because grandfather didn't believe that you would die here. Speaking of this, Wang Yuer smiled and said, But I didn't expect that I would find you first. It's been hard on you. Wang Yuanshan stroked Wang Yuer's head, his old face full of doting. It's over. They're really Wang Yuanshan's family. Muhi's face was pale, and he wanted to get rid of the willow tree and Yu Huang and escape. But the willow tree and Yu Huang also saw through his intentions and didn't give him a chance at all. Wang Yuanshan glanced at Muhi and didn't have any intention of making a move. He looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, Yuer, who is he? He? Wang Yuer glanced at Qin Feiyang and lowered her head shyly, her cheeks blushing. Wang Yuanshan was stunned. He looked at the two of them and revealed a meaningful smile. If he still couldn't tell, he would have lived for so many years in vain. Today you must die. Yu Huang suddenly shouted. Qin Feiyang and the others immediately looked over. They saw that the snake scale had mostly recovered at this moment and was crazily attacking Muhi. The surrounding void kept collapsing as if it was the end of the world. No! Muhi roared in horror. Boom! The snake scale arrived in an instant and directly blasted Muhi into the ground below. Dust and smoke billowed in all directions. He should be dead. Wang Yuer muttered. Wang Yuanshan shook his head and said, He won't die so easily. Qin Feiyang and Wang Yuer looked at Wang Yuanshan in surprise. Wang Yuanshan said, This Muhi cultivates a divine art called the God Fiend Body. It can withstand a single attack from a divine artifact. God Fiend Body? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Wang Yuanshan nodded and said, That's right, but this God Fiend Body can only be activated once a day. As long as you don't let him escape, you still have a chance to kill him. He can't escape. Chapter 1558. The plains below. Dust and smoke billowed, covering the sky and the earth. And in a certain place Muhi was still alive. But at this moment, his face was full of fear and he did not have the courage to continue fighting. Furthermore, a teleportation door had opened in front of him. He was preparing to escape. However, just as he stepped into the portal, he suddenly felt a pain in his lower abdomen. Ambushed! He quickly lowered his head to look at his lower abdomen and saw the tip of a blood-stained dagger on his lower abdomen. Sure enough, he was ambushed. Who was it? He suddenly burned with anger and turned his head to look. He immediately saw Mu Tianyang standing behind him. However, he could only see a vague outline. He couldn't even tell if Mu Tianyang was a man or a woman. Mu Tianyang asked in a low voice, Tell me, where are you hiding your treasures? What? You guys are actually thinking about our treasures? Muhi was dumbfounded. He had really underestimated the intentions of these people. Hearing Mu Tianyang's voice, Qin Feiyang knew that he had succeeded. I said he can't run away. Qin Feiyong smiled at Wang Yuanshan and waved his hand. A gust of wind suddenly blew. The dust and smoke were quickly blown away. Mu Tianyang and Mu He appeared in front of everyone. So it's him. It seems that he has been secretly looking for an opportunity. Wang Yuanshan suddenly realized. Swish. Qin Feiyong took a step forward and landed beside Mu Tianyang. He looked at Mu He with a smile. You guys even dare to touch the treasures of my Tianyang Empire. You guys are definitely not ordinary people. Who exactly are you guys? Mu He stared at the two of them and shouted. Tianyang Empire. Mu Tianyang's gaze trembled and was extremely surprised. Qin Feiyong glanced at Mu Tianyang and the smile on his face became even brighter. Suddenly, he raised his hand and waved. A red sword aura swept out. Accompanied by a blood-curdling scream. Mu He's head was separated from his body on the spot. A bull-sized wound was bleeding profusely. Why did you kill him? Didn't you hear him mention the Heavenly Sun Empire? Mu Tianyang glared at Qin Feiyong. Dead. Lord Mu He was actually killed, meanwhile. On the city wall, everyone was dumbfounded. They found it hard to believe that a false divinity would actually die in front of them. Quickly inform the people in the imperial capital that Lord Mu He has been killed by a traitor. There were also people from the Heavenly Sun Empire in the city. They took out image crystals and quickly sent the news back to the imperial capital of the Heavenly Sun Empire. As for Qin Feiyong, he looked at the current Mu Tianyang and smiled without saying anything. I asked you a question. Didn't you hear? Mu Tianyang roared. Qin Feiyong said, I'm not deaf. Of course I heard you. Then why didn't you answer me? What do you mean? Wait. Why are you smiling so strangely? Could it be you knew his identity long ago? Mu Tianyang was surprised. Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded. The Heavenly Sun Empire was considered a big force in the Black Tortoise world. Everyone knew about it and it was impossible to hide it forever. So after Mu He's death, there was no need to hide it from Mu Tianyang. You know? Mu Tianyang was stunned and said, Then you know this Heavenly Sun Empire and my Heavenly Sun Empire. You are family, because the people here are all your clansmen. Like the person who fell at your feet now. He is your clansman called Mu He. Qin Feiyong smiled. What? Mu Tianyang looked dazed. His clansmen? What was going on? Why were there his clansmen here? Mu He? He had never heard of him. Actually, the people here are all from the outside world. They multiplied here and created a new civilization. Among them, there are people from your Heavenly Sun Empire. And that senior Wang Yuanshan is from the main tower and is also Wang Yuer's grandfather. Qin Feiyong laughed. Bang! When Mu Tianyang heard this, it was like a bolt from the blue. In that case, he killed his own clansmen with his own hands? And there was even a false god? And Qin Feiyong knew all this and tricked him into making a move. Didn't that mean that this was a trap set by Qin Feiyong? Qin Feiyong, thinking of this, Mu Tianyang roared and turned into thousands of strands, carrying a monstrous anger, and charged toward Qin Feiyong. Presumptuous! How dare you be rude to young master? You are courting death. But then, Yu Huang and Willow Tree roared at the same time and instantly stood in front of Qin Feiyong. The power of the false god rolled out and attacked Mu Tianyang's divine sense. In fact, they had expected that when Mu Tianyang learned the truth, he would definitely go crazy and attack Qin Feiyong. So they had been secretly accumulating power. This time around, they had made their move with the determination to die. Because from Qin Feiyong's usual attitude, it could be seen that Mu Tianyang had brought him a lot of trouble. So they wanted to take this opportunity to completely remove Mu Tianyang. In this way, Qin Feiyong would have one less big trouble. However, Mu Tianyang was not stupid. In the face of two false gods, there was no chance of winning. Therefore, when he saw Willow Tree and Yu Huang rushing over, he retreated without thinking. Want to leave? No way! Yu Huang roared. The power of the false god roared in all directions and instantly condensed into a divine force boundary, trapping Mu Tianyang's divine sense. This emperor wants to see how you can escape this time. Yu Huang sneered. Qin Feiyong, you are despicable. Mu Tianyang roared in the divine force boundary. Despicable? Qin Feiyong was slightly stunned, and then he chuckled. It's as you've said. The winner is the king. and the loser is the bandit. Only the winner has the qualifications to laugh until the end. Now it's very obvious that I'm superior in this game. Mu Tianyang was silent. Although his face could not be seen clearly, he must hate Qin Feiyang to the core at this moment. Qin Feiyang looked at Mu Tianyang and suddenly sighed deeply. To be honest, I am very grateful to you. Grateful to me? Mu Tianyang was suspicious. Yes, grateful to you. Because if it weren't for the pressure you gave me, I wouldn't have grown so fast. So, I will let Yu Huang give you a quick death and avoid physical pain. After Qin Feiyang said, he looked at Yu Huang and nodded fiercely. Yu Huang laughed sinisterly and immediately acted. Boom! However, at this moment, a terrifying divine force descended. Following closely, a white-haired young man appeared out of thin air above the plane. This person looked about 25 or 26 years old. He was about 1.8 meters tall, wearing a white robe, his white hair fluttering in the wind, and there was an insufferably arrogant aura between his eyebrows. Mu Xingkong. As soon as they saw this person, everyone's face changed color and was filled with fear. Wang Yuanshan's pupils also contracted. Mu Xingkong. When Mu Tianyang heard this name, his body suddenly trembled and looked up at the white-haired young man. At this moment, if he could see his face clearly, he would find that his face was full of disbelief. Who killed Mu He? Mu Xingkong scanned the crowd, his eyes aggressive. Qin Feiyang was about to speak, but at this moment, Mu Tianyang roared. Xingkong, it's me, don't you remember me? At the same time, the dusty past involuntarily surfaced in his mind. In the past, when he was in charge of the Tianyang Empire, a shocking genius was born. This genius was Mu Xingkong. He still remembered. This Mu Xingkong used less than 300 years to step into the War Emperor realm, which caused quite a stir at that time. And because Mu Xingkong was extremely talented, he took special care of Mu Xingkong. No matter what Mu Xingkong wanted, as long as he could satisfy it, he would agree. Although at that time Mu Tianyang was a noble emperor, the relationship between the two was that of a teacher and a friend. However, it was also because of Mu Xingkong's talent that his character was somewhat arrogant. That year, Mu Xingkong was only a 2-star war emperor, but he insisted on entering the divine sight. He was very persistent and couldn't be persuaded to turn back. Helpless, Mu Tianyang could only agree. But once Mu Xingkong left, he never came back. That time, seeing that Mu Xingkong didn't come out of the divine sight, Mu Tianyang was sad for a while. But he didn't expect that Mu Xingkong was actually here. Not only was he alive and well, his strength had even reached the false god realm. Mu Xingkong looked at Mu Tianyang and frowned slightly. Why was there a familiar smell? Wait, this aura, could it be? Chapter 1559. That's me. Mu Tianyang nodded. How did this happen? Didn't I hear that you've fallen? And why did you become like this? Mu Xingxing asked, looking very excited. Emperor? Wang Yuanshan was stunned. He looked at Mu Tianyang, and a name gradually appeared in his mind. Could he be the last emperor of the Tianyang Empire, Mu Tianyang? Facing Mu Tianyang's question, Mu Tianyang sighed deeply and said, it's a long story. Mu Xingxing didn't ask any more questions. He pointed to Qin Feiyang Willow Tree and Yu Huang and asked, who are they? Mu Tianyang suddenly pointed to Qin Feiyang and said, he's the descendant of Qin Batian, Qin Feiyang. What? There was another uproar in the crowd. Even Wang Yuanshan was astounded. This child was the descendant of Emperor Qin? Wang Yuanshan asked, is this true? Wang Yuer nodded. Gasp! Wang Yuanshan took a deep breath. He didn't expect this child to have such a powerful background. No wonder this kid started to scheme against the people of the Tianyang Empire. Mu Xingxing also looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. Mu Tianyang said again, this child's talent is extraordinary. He's even more outstanding than you were back then. He even revived the purple gold dragon blood and obtained the inheritance of Qin Batian. What? Purple gold dragon blood. The inheritance of Emperor Qin. Once again, everyone was deeply shocked. They looked at Qin Feiyang as if they were looking at a monster, full of disbelief. Boom! Suddenly, a monstrous murderous intent rushed out of Mu Xingxing's body. He said word by word. Since he's the descendant of Qin Batian, then all the more we can't let him walk out of here alive. After saying that, he swooped down and killed Qin Feiyang. No, Mu Tianyang hurriedly shouted. But Mu Xingxing turned a deaf ear to him, his eyes flashing with a shocking light. With this emperor here, how dare you act so presumptuously? Yu Huang was furious. He raised his giant tail and slammed it towards Mu Xingkong. The void twisted crazily as if it was about to split open. Willow Tree also rose into the air to meet Mu Xingkong. But suddenly, Mu Xingxing spun in the air and threw a punch at the barrier, his pseudo-god force surging out. Crack! The barrier shattered on the spot. Oh no! Willow Tree's expression changed. Mu Xingxing didn't want to kill Qin Feiyang. He just wanted to draw them away and save Mu Tianyang. Mu Xingxing shouted, "Lord Monarch, follow me." Finished speaking. Mu Xingxing immediately turned around, turned into a stream of light, and flew towards a mountain range next to Peach Blossom City. Mu Tianyang hastily chased after him. He didn't even turn his head as he roared, "Qin Feiyang, I admit defeat today. However, there's still a long way to go in the future. Sooner or later, I'll make you pay back double." "Chase!" Yu Huang shouted. "Don't chase." Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Yu Huang stopped in the void and looked down at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. "With their speed, you may not be able to catch up. Moreover, even if you can catch up, I'm afraid you can't keep them. Don't waste time," Qin Feiyang said. Yu Huang raised his eyebrows, his body quickly shrank, and landed in front of Qin Feiyang, asking, "Don't you think it's a pity to miss such a good opportunity?" "Pity?" Qin Feiyang was taken aback, shook his head and said, "I don't think it's a pity, on the contrary, I'm quite happy." "Happy? Is there something wrong with your head?" Yu Huang said. Willow Tree also looked at him strangely. "Yes, very happy. Because in this way I have a chance to end his life with my own hands," Qin Feiyang said with a smile. The man and the beast were stunned. Just because of this reason, it really made them speechless. "Descendant of Emperor Qin, Qin Feiyang, nice to meet you." At this time, Wang Yuanshan came up and said with a smile, "Hello, senior." Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and saluted. Wang Yuanshan laughed and looked at Qin Feiyang, his old eyes full of joy. Yu Huang glanced at Wang Yuanshan, looked at Qin Feiyang and Willow Tree, and said suspiciously, "What is this old man so happy about?" Qin Feiyang was also full of doubts. "You don't know? All of you are really blockheads." Willow Tree secretly despised Qin Feiyang and Yu Huang, and said with a voice transmission, "Wang Yuanshan is so happy. It must be because of Wang Yu. What does this have to do with Wang Yu?" Yu Huang was even more puzzled. "Of course it has something to do with it. Young master is the person Wang Yu likes, so in Wang Yuanshan's opinion, Qin Feiyang is the son-in-law of his Wang family," Willow Tree said. "Son-in-law?" Yu Huang's lips twitched. Things weren't set in stone yet. Besides, Qin Feiyang didn't have such thoughts about Wang Yu at all. Qin Feiyang was also a little helpless, and said with a voice transmission, "Willow Tree, retreat first." "Retreat?" Willow Tree was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said secretly, "Go back to Peach Blossom City first. I will contact you if there is anything." "All right." Willow Tree nodded. Then the two took out image crystals and established a contract bridge. Willow Tree opened a teleportation door and walked in without looking back. Wang Yuanshan asked Feiyang, "Where is he going?" He called Qin Feiyang so intimately, as if he treated him as family. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "I asked him to deal with a private matter. Since it was a private matter, he definitely couldn't get to the bottom of it." Wang Yuanshan said with a smile, "Follow this old man into the city." "Enter the city?" Qin Feiyang looked at Peach Blossom City with a hesitant expression. Wang Yuanshan asked, "Are you worried about the people of the Heavenly Sun Empire?" Without waiting for Qin Feiyang to answer, Wang Yuanshan said with a smile, "There's no need to worry. With my main tower helping you, even if they come looking for you, they won't dare to do anything to you." How passionate. Looks like Wang Yu won't be able to run away as a daughter-in-law. Yu Huang laughed secretly. "Shut your mouth." Qin Feiyang glared at Yu Huang. Then he looked at Wang Yuanshan and said with a smile, Deference is no substitute for obedience. Senior, please. Good, good, good. Wang Yuanshan laughed loudly and led Wang Yuer back to Peach Blossom City. I hope it won't be too troublesome. Qin Feiyong muttered and chased after the two. Not necessarily. Look at how much Wang Yuanshan likes Wang Yu. For the sake of Wang Yuer's lifelong happiness, he might force you to marry her. Yu Huang smiled evilly. Qin Feiyong said helplessly, can't you talk less? This monarch said that to let you be mentally prepared in advance. To think that you find this monarch long-winded. You really don't know how to appreciate good intentions. If you are really unwilling, just say the word. And this monarch will immediately bring you away. Yu Huang sent a voice transmission in dissatisfaction. Forget it. Do you think I don't know that you can't wait to see me in trouble, especially this kind of big trouble? Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes. Hey, we haven't been together for long, yet you know this monarch so well. You can't be a roundworm in this monarch's stomach, right? Yu Huang laughed sinisterly. Qin Feiyong rubbed his forehead. Why did he meet another unreliable guy? During the conversation, Qin Feiyong followed behind Wang Yuanshan and entered Peach Blossom City. The city walls and both sides of the streets were filled with people, curiously sizing up Qin Feiyong. The descendant of the Qin Emperor. The second human in the world to possess the purple gold dragon blood. Amazing. This time, the Black Tortoise world will probably be lively. That's right. The Qin Emperor destroyed the Heavenly Sun Empire. The people of the Heavenly Sun Empire hate the people of the Great Qin to the bone. Now that the descendant of the Qin Emperor has entered the Black Tortoise world, the people of the Heavenly Sun Empire will definitely think of ways to get rid of him. Everyone discussed in low voices. Wang Yuanshan raised his eyebrows and said loudly, everyone disperse, there's nothing to see. Everyone here was a little afraid of Wang Yuanshan. Therefore, when they heard Wang Yuanshan speak, everyone left in groups of 2s and 3s. However, they kept discussing. Moreover, Chapter 1560. Elder Lu. Suddenly, the crowd was in an uproar. Willow Tree slowly walked out of the crowd. At this moment, he had regained his true appearance. He stood tall and had a gentle smile on his face, giving off an inexplicable sense of intimacy. However, no one knew that he was the one who killed Mu He with Yu Huang. Elder, where did you go? Did you know? Mu He of the Heavenly Sun Empire was killed by Qin Feiyong. This Qin Feiyong is the descendant of the Qin Emperor. A group of people from the Nether Hall immediately ran to Willow Tree and whispered. The descendant of the Qin Emperor? Willow Tree pretended to be surprised and walked to Qin Feiyong. He cupped his hands and smiled. I'm Willow Tree from the Nether Hall. Greetings, little brother Qin. This human pet is good at acting. Yu Huang mumbled. Qin Feiyong smiled and returned the greeting to Willow Tree. Willow Tree pretended not to know and asked, little brother, I heard that you're the descendant of the Qin Emperor? Qin Feiyong nodded. I didn't expect the descendant of the Qin Emperor to appear here. Nice to meet you. Little brother, would you give me the honor of coming to the Nether Hall? Willow Tree smiled. Wang Yuanshan raised his eyebrows and said, Willow Tree, what do you mean? Do you think I don't exist? Willow Tree laughed and said, everyone in the Black Tortoise world knows about Elder Wang's hot temper. How would I dare to ignore your existence? Stop being sarcastic. Wang Yuanshan snorted coldly. I wouldn't dare. After all, you have the support of the Vangu League. My Nether Hall can't afford to offend you. Willow Tree said with a smile, but anyone who wasn't an idiot could tell that he was mocking Wang Yuanshan. How could Wang Yuanshan not understand? His eyes flickered with cold light. Qin Feiyong glanced at the two of them. The smell of gunpowder was too strong. Haha. Willow Tree suddenly laughed out loud. He looked at Qin Feiyong and said, little brother, the future is long. Let's meet again if there's a chance. After saying that, then, he led the Nether Pavilion's people away. Of course, he didn't really want to invite Qin Feiyong. It was just for show. After Willow Tree left, Wang Yuanshan finally withdrew his gaze. Looking at Qin Feiyong and Wang Yuer, he regained his amiable look and said with a smile, let's go. Wang Yuer followed him obediently. Yu Huang glanced at Wang Yuanshan's back view and secretly sighed. Looks like there are quite a few disputes here too. Qin Feiyang nodded. Putting everything else aside, just the main tower and the Nether Pavilion had an irreconcilable enmity between them. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and he secretly muttered a few words to Yu Huang. Yu Huang's eyes lit up, and he immediately merged into the night sky and disappeared without a trace. In a magnificent hall, Wang Yuanshan sat on the main seat, and Wang Yuer sat beside him. As for Qin Feiyang, he sat opposite Wang Yuanshan. Two young women dressed as maids walked in with a teapot and brewed tea for the three of them one by one. Then they silently retreated to the side. However, whether it was the two maids or the guards outside, they would occasionally glance at Qin Feiyang, their eyes filled with curiosity. Wang Yuanshan picked up the teacup and took a sip. He looked at Qin Feiyang very seriously and said, "Feiyang, in the future, you'd better stay away from that willow tree." Qin Feiyang was drinking tea. When he heard this, he was slightly stunned and asked suspiciously, "Senior, why do you say that? This willow tree is an elder of the Nether Pavilion, and the Nether Pavilion is even older than our main tower. Its strength is extremely terrifying. As for this willow tree, although he seems polite, he's actually a sanctimonious villain," Wang Yuanshan said. Wang Yuer smiled and said, "Grandfather, you're thinking too much. In fact, we already know what kind of person Willow Tree is because it was Willow Tree who brought us here. The person who killed Mu He with Yu Huang was also Willow Tree in disguise." Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. He never expected that Wang Yuer would actually tell Wang Yuanshan about this matter. It happened too suddenly, and he couldn't stop it in time. "What? Willow Tree brought you here?" Wang Yuanshan was surprised. "This?" Qin Feiyang glanced at Wang Yuer and nodded at Wang Yuanshan. "That's right. Since he had already exposed it, there was nothing to hide. How do you know Willow Tree? Why did he help you kill Mu He?" Wang Yuanshan was suspicious. "This is a long story. Didn't Miss Yuer want to say it? You can ask her when you have time." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Wang Yuanshan looked at Wang Yuer. When Wang Yuer heard Qin Feiyang's words, her delicate body stiffened slightly. This was because she realized that whether it was Qin Feiyang's expression or the way he spoke earlier, they were somewhat different from before. There seemed to be a trace of coldness. "Senior Wang, Miss Yuer knows what you want to know. You can ask her if you have any questions. I still have something to deal with, so I won't disturb you. When I have time in the future, I'll come and visit again." Qin Feiyang suddenly stood up and smiled. "This?" Wang Yuanshan was stunned. He had not even warmed his seat. Why was he leaving already? A trace of panic appeared on Wang Yuer's face. "Goodbye." Qin Feiyang cupped his hands at Wang Yuanshan and smiled at Wang Yuer. Then he turned and walked out of the hall without looking back. Wang Yuanshan was completely dumbfounded. What was going on? Seeing this, Wang Yuer hurriedly got up and chased after him. She pulled Qin Feiyang's arm and asked, "Where are you going?" "I don't know." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "If you don't know, why are you leaving?" "Is it because I told you about Willow Tree?" Wang Yuer said anxiously. Qin Feiyang said, "Since you know it in your heart, why did you still say it?" "Indeed, this is the case." Wang Yuer muttered. "Do you know why I changed Willow Tree's appearance? I don't want others to know that he has already followed me. But you didn't even ask me and directly told your grandfather. Do you know what the people of the Nether Hall will do to Willow Tree if the fact that he has followed me is exposed? They will definitely kill him." Qin Feiyang said, trying his best to control his emotions so that his tone did not sound so aggressive. Wang Yuer said, "What's wrong with telling my grandfather? If your grandfather is not from the main tower, it won't be a problem. But the problem is that your grandfather is from the main tower, and his status is not low. The main tower and the Nether Hall have always been at odds. Can you be sure that he won't use this matter to make a big fuss?" Qin Feiyang said. Wang Yuer's face turned slightly pale. "I can understand. You didn't hide anything because you trust your grandfather. But you have to understand me. One must always be on guard against others. I, Qin Feiyang, have never trusted anyone easily, let alone someone I just met. Stay here and have a good chat with your grandfather. When I leave, I will come and pick you up. If you don't want to leave, it's best to send me a message in advance and let me know. After Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he opened a teleportation door and walked in. Am I more important? Or is Willow Tree more important? Are you going to abandon me for Willow Tree? Wang Yuer said angrily. I can't answer this question. Qin Feiyong's footsteps paused slightly. Then he said without looking back and quickly disappeared. Wang Yuer was burning with anxiety and was about to chase after him. But at this moment, Wang Yuanshan walked out and looked at the teleportation door. He said in surprise, Your little boyfriend really left? Wang Yuer glanced at Wang Yuanshan, and then at the disappearing teleportation door. She turned around and ran into the hall, lying on the table and crying bitterly. Yuer, what's wrong? Did he bully you? Tell grandfather. Grandfather will go and settle the score with him. Wang Yuanshan hurried in and said anxiously. Wang Yuer said, It's none of your business. Let me be alone for a while. Wang Yuanshan's face stiffened. He turned to look at the disappearing teleportation door, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Although he didn't know what was going on, he vaguely heard Wang Yuer mention Willow Tree when he was inside. It seemed that Yuer had told him about the Willow Tree, which made Qin Feiyong angry. How dare you bully my descendant? Even if you are the descendant of Emperor Qin, I won't let you go. He muttered to himself, walked out of the hall and shouted, Men! Whoosh! A middle-aged man cut through the night sky and landed in front of Wang Yuanshan like lightning. He bowed and said, Greetings, sir. This man was about 1.9 meters tall and had a finger-long scar on the corner of his mouth. He looked a little scary. Wang Yuanshan whispered a few words in the middle-aged man's ear. Yes, sir. After listening, the middle-aged man responded respectfully. He turned around and soared into the sky, disappearing into the night sky. Late at night, at the stronghold of the Tianyang Empire, a blood-haired young man appeared out of thin air. It was Qin Feiyong. The stronghold of the Tianyang Empire had been reduced to ruins. There was no one around. It was dead silent. Qin Feiyong walked into the ruins alone and looked around as if he was waiting for something. Whoosh! Soon, a ray of light shot out from the ground somewhere in the ruins. Who else could it be but Yu Huang? However, when it saw Qin Feiyong, it was slightly stunned. It flew to Qin Feiyong and asked suspiciously, Didn't you go to the stronghold of the main tower with Wang Yuer? Why are you here? Where is Wang Yuer? Qin Feiyong smiled and said, I'm worried about you. That's why I came to take a look. Yu Huang rolled his eyes and said, Stop talking nonsense. Did something happen? Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded and said, Wang Yuer told Wang Yuanshan that Willow Tree is following us. To be honest, I'm a little angry that she acted on her own accord. What? Is she stupid? Doesn't she know about the conflict between the main tower and the Nether Hall? She actually told Wang Yuanshan. Isn't this pushing Willow Tree into a fire pit? You have to tell Willow Tree about this as soon as possible and let him be prepared. Otherwise, he will be in danger when this matter is leaked. Yu Huang raised his eyebrows and said, Think so too. Qin Feiyong nodded and sighed. Of course, I hope that Wang Yuanshan is not that kind of person. Come on. We've only met once. Do you know what kind of person he is? It's hard to know what's in a person's heart. It's better to be safe. Besides, it wasn't easy to subdue such a pet. I don't want him to die young. Chapter 1561. Don't always call me a pet. We've already fought side by side for so long. No matter how deep the grudge is, it's time to end it and leave some face for others. Qin Feiyong said, You're really magnanimous. But I'm sorry, this emperor is a very vengeful person. Yu Huang coldly snorted. Qin Feiyong smiled helplessly and asked, Any gains? No. Yu Huang shook his head and said, The treasures here were probably moved away by Mu He in advance. Moved? Don't tease me. Before we killed Mu He didn't receive any news at all. How could he have moved the treasures here in advance? Hurry up and take it out. We'll enjoy it together and endure it together. Qin Feiyong said. Not doing it. This emperor has contributed the most to killing Mu He this time. All the treasures here should belong to this emperor. Yu Huang said. Qin Feiyong laughed. So there are indeed treasures here? Holy shit. You're actually trying to trick this emperor. Brat, you're not honest. Yu Huang said angrily. Only then did he react. Qin Feiyong laughed and said, you can take all of it. Just treat it as your reward. What do you mean? Reward? This is what this emperor obtained with his own ability. How can it be called a reward? Let me tell you, if you want to say it like that, this emperor doesn't want it. You want to give me a reward? All right, this emperor doesn't want anything else. I only want the potential pill. Do as you see fit. Yu Huang took out 5 cosmos bag from the Qi Si and threw them to Qin Feiyong like trash, and said, these are all the treasures here, keep them well. Qin Feiyong grabbed the cosmos bag and lowered his head to check. If he didn't look, he wouldn't know. These 5 cosmos bag were actually all medicinal herbs. Moreover, they were basically all 10,000 years old. So many, where did you find them? Qin Feiyong asked in shock. Below. Yu Huang pointed to the ground and said, there is a treasure trove below, it is very hidden. This emperor found it with great difficulty. Not bad, not bad. Qin Feiyong laughed, his face full of pride. Yu Huang suspiciously looked at Qin Feiyong and said, brat, why do I feel like I've been schemed by you again? No. Qin Feiyong hurriedly waved his hand, revealing an innocent expression. Wrong. This emperor. The rewards? Bye. Yu Huang cursed. Qin Feiyong laughed. Don't worry, before I leave I will give you the potential pill. Yu Huang's eyes lit up and he threatened, you better keep your word, otherwise don't blame this emperor for being impolite to you. Don't worry, don't worry. Qin Feiyong waved his hand. Yu Huang said, wait, I heard from Fatso that you seem to have an ancient book called the Pill Scripture? That's right. Qin Feiyong nodded. Yu Huang asked, then is there a pill formula for the spirit congealing pill? Yes. Qin Feiyong said. That's good. Hurry up and refine some spirit congealing pills for this emperor. As long as there are enough spirit congealing pills, coupled with your ancient castle, the time is different from the outside. This emperor is confident that I can step into the war god realm within 1,000 years. Yu Huang said excitedly. Qin Feiyong was stunned and asked, to step into the war god realm, don't you need to comprehend the profound meaning of becoming a god? No. This profound meaning was comprehended before breaking through to the false god realm. In other words, when breaking through to the false god realm, you have already thoroughly comprehended the profound meaning of becoming a god. Next, you just need to condense your divine soul. However, condensing the divine soul is not only very difficult, but also a very long process. Without a great fortune or a heaven-defying pill, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years are common. Yu Huang said. So difficult? Qin Feiyong was shocked. That's right. There are many creatures in the world that are trapped in the false god realm because they can't condense their divine soul. But if there are a lot of spirit congealing pills, it's different. Spirit congealing pills can help creatures quickly condense their divine soul. Once the divine soul appears, they can naturally step into the war god realm. Yu Huang said. I see. Qin Feiyong nodded in understanding. After that, he stared at Yu Huang with a strange look on his face. Why are you looking at me like that? Yu Huang was suspicious. Qin Feiyong said, you just said that it will take 1,000 years to condense a divine soul after refining a lot of spirit congealing pills? Yes. Yu Huang nodded. Qin Feiyong's face twitched and he said speechlessly, 1,000 years is so long. Why are you so excited? Damn. 1,000 years is long. Then what about some people who can't condense a divine soul after tens of thousands of years? Kid, don't be arrogant. Condensing a divine soul is not as easy as you think. If it's really that easy, wouldn't there be as many war gods in the world today? Let me tell you, creatures who can condense a divine soul within 1,000 years are rare geniuses that only appear once in a million years. Yu Huang snorted. Qin Feiyong said, from what you said, you are one of these geniuses? Do you really want to go against me? What I mean is, according to the time in your castle, I can step into the war god realm within 1,000 years. Then if it's the time outside, it will definitely take longer. Yu Huang said angrily. Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed. I won't tease you anymore. It's definitely not a problem to refine the spirit congealing pills, but you have to have medicinal herbs. Yu Huang pointed to the 5 Qiankuan bags and said, I don't believe that I can't get one set with so many medicinal herbs. I have to count them out to know. I have a lot of spiritual infant fruits, but the other medicinal herbs, to be honest, I haven't cared about these things since Dan Wangkai followed me, so I don't know a lot of medicinal herbs. How about this? I'll give these Qiankuan bags to Dan Wangkai first and let him sort them out. Let's see how many sets he can gather. Qin Feiyang said. Yu Huang said, it's all a small matter. I can go to the castle to help tidy it up. Is there a need to be so anxious? Qin Feiyang was helpless. Nonsense, how can this matter not be urgent? Yu Huang rolled his eyes at him. Wait, even if you can refine the spirit congealing pills, you can't break through to the war god realm in the Black Tortoise world. Qin Feiyang said. Why can't I? Yu Huang was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, didn't the willow tree say that the Black Tortoise world also has rules and restrictions that can only break through to the false god realm? Then it's fine if we're not in the Black Tortoise world. Anyway, we'll leave the Black Tortoise world sooner or later. Yu Huang said. Qin Feiyang said in surprise, can you break through to the war god realm outside? For outsiders like you, it's definitely not possible. But we can. However, I've also heard that after beasts like us break through to the war god realm, we'll be taken away by the guardians of the divine ruins. Yu Huang said. Then that's it. When you break through to the war god realm and the guardians of the divine ruins come to take you away, do you dare to resist? Qin Feiyang was speechless. Why wouldn't I dare to resist? If you dare to beat it up, I dare to do the same. Yu Huang coldly snorted. Qin Feiyang said, you say it as if it's true. When that giant python arrives, you'll be as obedient as a little lamb. Are you looking down on me? Yu Huang's embarrassment turned into anger. It was indeed afraid of the guardians of the divine ruins, but don't say it so directly. I'm not looking down on you, it's the truth. Not to mention you, even I have to take a detour when I see it. Qin Feiyang sighed. In the past, with the Qi and Blood Pearl he could still fight, but now that the Qi and Blood Pearl was shattered, he was no longer able to shake the giant python's power. Yu Huang raised his eyebrows and said, you're refusing again and again. Do you not want to give me the spirit congealing pill? Qin Feiyang said, do you want to hear the truth? Nonsense. Yu Huang angrily waited for him. The herbs for the spirit congealing pill are very difficult to find, especially the spiritual infant fruit. I'm lucky to find so many. If I'm unlucky, I'm afraid I won't be able to find even one in my life. And you also know that Fatso and the white-eyed wolf are all loyal to me, so I must consider them first. As the saying goes, there are too many monks and too little gruel. I hope you can understand my difficulties. Qin Feiyang sighed. Hypocrite. Don't you just want me to follow you and work for you? Yu Huang rolled his eyes at him. Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly. He was actually seen through and it was a little awkward. Yu Huang lowered his head, his eyes flickering. Suddenly, it seemed to have made a decision as it looked at Qin Feiyang and said, how about this? Let me refine the spiritual infant fruit first, and I'll take you to the capital of the Tianyang Empire to loot their treasury. Loot their treasury? Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. This guy is too crazy. The people of the Tianyang Empire have been living in the Black Tortoise world for so many years. Coupled with the restrictions of the rules, they can't break through to the war god realm. Therefore, the herbs for the spirit congealing pill are meaningless to them. I'm afraid it's not even as good as a battle chi pill. So I believe that there must be a lot of them in their treasury. Yu Huang said. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. He actually didn't think of this. The Black Tortoise world had restrictions. Not only the people of the Tianyang Empire, but even the people of the Main Tower, the Nether Hall, the Vanga League, and the Fengtian Palace couldn't break through to the war god realm. If they couldn't break through to the war god realm, then as Yu Huang said, the spirit congealing pill was worthless. It wasn't just the Tianyang Empire. The other forces must have a lot of herbs for the spirit congealing pill. Wasn't this a good opportunity? Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He stared at Yu Huang. The strength of the Heavenly Sun Empire is so strong. Are you confident? Yu Huang said, don't worry, if I can't find enough herbs for you, I'll... What? Qin Feiyang looked at it expectantly. Yu Huang clenched its teeth and said, I'll give myself to you. Qin Feiyang burst out laughing. A ferocious beast actually dared to say that it wanted to repay him with its body? Why did it sound so weird? Fortunately, there was no one around. Otherwise, if they heard Yu Huang's words, they would definitely look at him strangely.